Baton Rouge, Louisiana, an historic matchup for the first time. The defending national champions from college football's top two divisions go head-to-head in a season opener. It's defending FCS national champion Appalachian State taking on the reigning FBS champs, the LSU Tigers. And some unexpected history will also be made here today. The kickoff at approximately 10:06 a.m. local time will be the earliest in the 84-year history of Tiger Stadium. No problem for the rabid Tiger fans, many of whom were here well before the crack of dawn this morning. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Baton Rouge. I'm Sean McDonough. With Hurricane Gustav strengthening in the Gulf of Mexico and forecast to make landfall perhaps along the Louisiana coast as early as Monday night or Tuesday morning, yesterday LSU and state officials made the decision to move the kickoff of today's game up 6 hours from 4 p.m. local time to 10 a.m. And nearly 3 years to the day after the destruction brought by Hurricane Katrina, certainly the decision to move the start time of a football game seems like a very minor inconvenience. They want to get these fans in and out of the stadium as quickly as possible with the probability of evacuations here later today. Let's head down on the field now as the defending national champion LSU Tigers take the field, led by Les Miles. The victory over Ohio State in the national championship game, the Tigers' second national title in the last 5 years. And even with the early start time, Tiger Stadium almost filled to capacity. They really don't know what impact that today's start time move will have on the size of the crowd. I'm joined, as always, by Chris Spielman. Great to be with you for another season, my friend.
Let's do it.
LSU with dreams of another national championship, perhaps. They lost a lot of key stars, but they have 12 starters returning. The big question mark for them in the preseason has been at quarterback.
Yeah, and it started with the departure of Ryan Perilou, who left for Jacksonville State. And you have two guys, Andrew Hatch and Jarrett Lee, that are going for it. Andrew Hatch is a big guy at 225 pounds. Looking into his eyes yesterday, a very confident young man. The other guy, Jarrett Lee, didn't get as many reps as Andrew Hatch because of back spasms. Andrew Hatch will be the starter, and Sean, this is basically a 3-game tryout for these two guys that get to be the starter for the Southeast Conference season.
And while they have a question mark at the quarterback position, that is certainly not the case at Appalachian State. They have won 3 national championships in a row, the last 2 directed by Armani Edwards, one of the best players in the country.
Well, last year you and I had a chance to do the FCS semi-playoff game against Richmond, and it was the single greatest performance that I witnessed with my football eyes. Over 495 total yards. He can do it with his feet. He can do it with his arm. The thing is, Sean, he's about $185, but I'm telling you, he plays like he's 225, and he shies away from nobody. Now, I don't know if he's been hit like the LSU defenders are going to hit him, but a great football player, maybe a Heisman candidate.
Two-time All-American. He's the preseason favorite to win the Walter Payton Award for the best player in the country in the FCS subdivision. Today, the quest for a national title begins anew for these two teams. Chancellor Kenneth Peacock of Appalachian State proudly displays the trophy as these teams hope for another season full of highlights.
We're here to demonstrate why Gillette Fusion is better than Mach 3. Okay, 5 chairs.
5 Fusion blades.
They're spaced closer together to reduce pressure with more comfort.
Mach 3 only has 3 blades.
See? Not nearly as comfortable. Back to 5, meathead.
No, I need them.
For what?
Switch to Gillette's most comfortable shave. Fusion Power. Gillette, the best a man can get.
You know, I gotta tell you, since I've been hurt and missing work, you've been a big help to this family. No, really. The cash we get from Aflac helps us maintain the house, put food on the table. And my Jenny continues with her piano lessons. Yep, this family's doing just fine. And it's all thanks to...
Aflac. Ask about it at work.
ESPN's College Football Primetime is presented by Gillette. Look, feel, and be your best with Gillette's full lineup of men's grooming products. Visit Gillette.com to learn more. And in part by Aflac. Ask about it at work.
Early kickoff here at LSU not affecting the tailgating. Rob Stone here in Baton Rouge and talks about moving the kick for this game up several hours. It's been in place for several days. There's even serious talk, guys, about canceling this game. The safety of the fans and those that are going to be evacuating southern Louisiana, the utmost priority. So what does a 10 a.m. kick mean? Well, it means Appalachian State had a 5:30 a.m. wake-up call. Weather, a huge factor. 10 a.m., the most humid time of the day here in Baton Rouge, according to the officials. 92,000 plus is capacity. They expect 75 to 80,000. One other thing, Sean, if it looks like I'm squinting here on the LSU sideline, it's because I am. 10 a.m. kick means that sun up there in the sky is beating down and hitting the LSU bench right now.
Well, glad to know in his first hit of the season for us, Rob Stone is already in midseason whiny form. It is early, but it's already 87 degrees and humid. And the Appalachian State folks aren't accustomed to this. They're in the mountains of Boone, North Carolina. Typically during their preseason workouts, the temperature's been comfortable in the 70s. LSU won the toss and elected to defer. So Appalachian State will receive the kickoff from Josh Jasper. And it comes down to Coco Hillary, and he gets throttled at the 22-yard line. Absolutely lit up by Ryan Baker after an 8-yard return.
Well, this is what you need if you're LSU. You want to get started and get started fast to wake up this crowd. What better way to wake them up with a shot across the bow? That's how you set the tempo and tone. Special teams, the edge, always in college football.
It's a true freshman, Baker, making his first play at the Tiger Stadium. So here's Armani Edwards, the junior from Greenwood, South Carolina. Great dual threat, running and throwing. And it's a spread option attack, and they open with 5 wide receivers and no backs. And his first throw is right on target for a first down across the 40 to Coco Hillary. Dexter Jackson drafted by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers after last year, so Hillary will become the main target for Armonte Edwards. 22-2, his career record, and 2 national championships. Rushed for 1,727 yards last year and threw for just under 1,000, and he missed 4.5 games with a shoulder injury.
Yeah, and I promise you this, Sean, that the coaches of LSU on the defensive side have great respect for Armani and what he does.
Now they try the middle with Devin Moore. He goes out near the 50, tackled by Jai Eugene. Edwards, of course, the main impact player for Appalachian State, but Devin Moore takes over at running back. He was an understudy to Kevin Richardson last year. He's their all-time leading rusher. Hillary should be the primary threat among the receivers. He had a great preseason camp.
And Jonathan Bishke right now is going to have his greatest challenge as a college football player, going against preseason All-American Tyson Jackson.
LSU features one of the best defensive lines in the country. I think there have already been comparisons in some of the preseason media to some of the best defensive lines of all time.
Yeah, I'm watching them practice the other day. It's amazing. Those 4 guys go out. 4 clones come in. It looks like the stormtroopers from the Star Wars movies. They all look the same, move the same, relatively the same size. Tremendous depth.
Of course, they lost Glenn Dorsey, the number 5 pick of the NFL draft by the Kansas City Chiefs, but they believe it is a deeper, more experienced, perhaps even more talented unit this year. Trying to stop Appalachian State on 2nd down and 6. Managing the noise, a K today for Edwards and the Mountaineers. Play action pass and another completion for a first down into Tiger territory. It's Coco Hillary again at the 42, a gain of 11. Harry Coleman, the safety, made the tackle.
And one of the deals there is you can't get sucked up on a bad play action fake by Armani Edwards. The linebacker's got to be able to get their depth. Read the offensive line. If you have high hats, that means the offensive linemen stand tall. Get back and get your depth. Armani's too good, and he'll find a place to put the ball in the midfield range between 10 and 14 yards.
On 1st and 10, here he comes trying to run. Back to the line of scrimmage, and that's all. Perry Riley led the defense. A defense that knows job one today is to prevent Edwards from getting loose.
You know, the one thing that LSU has that Appalachian State is not used to seeing is tremendous team speed on defense. So running to the outside is going to be tough duty for this Mountaineer offense.
They line up, then they look to the sideline for signals to see if the original play call that was signaled in will be changed. All of the skill players watch the signals, then Edwards relays it to the offensive line. Devin Moore turns the corner and is collared out of bounds at the 36 by Derry Beckwith, the middle linebacker. It's a pickup of 5.
That's a good deal right now. They're calling the plays from the sidelines, and they're dialing them up right there. That shouldn't have been a play. Curtis Taylor, the free safety, comes up, gets nosy, peeks inside. Devin Moore with a little leg and took it away. Fake to the inside, run to the outside. And if you can get 5 yards of pop running the ball, that's going to make Armani and his receivers that much more dangerous as the game progresses.
The coaches said they would try to shorten the game if possible as the big underdogs on the road here today. Edwards threw incomplete. It looked like his intended receiver slipped down. It was Blake Elder who hit the grass at the 29-yard line. 4th down and 4. And it looks like Jerry Moore is going to go for it.
Well, I like the call, Sean, but I would, if I'm LSU right away, I alert the hard count to try to draw them off sides. But again, why not? You have nothing to lose if you're Appalachian State.
Of course, they opened the season in stunning fashion last year when they went to Ann Arbor, Michigan and beat the Wolverines. First time an FCS team had ever defeated a ranked FBS team. And they do it 2 years in a row. Edwards pass incomplete. He got drilled as he unloaded the football. Tremaine Johnson came untouched and forced the quick throw, and the Mountaineers turn it over on downs.
One of the things, if you're Armani Edwards, you like the matchup that you have in Coco Hillary one-on-one who beats the safety. But if you have a breakdown in the offensive line, it's tough to throw the football with 6'2", 280 coming in your face. That's a missed opportunity right there. Mark that one down.
Will they turn it over? Perhaps they gained some confidence. They did move the ball crisply. Picked up first downs, 2 of them on their first possession. So now it's LSU with Andrew Hatch at quarterback, making his first career start. Charles Scott into the secondary. Can they catch him? Yes, inside the 10-yard line. Dominic McDuffie saved the touchdown.
What you have here is basically a lead play, and Big Quinn Johnson at 260 pounds, the lead fullback, gets his block right there. Good vision by Charles Scott, known as the power runner, not the speed runner, but enough to set the tone. And I'm telling you, LSU, they got a young quarterback. You're going to come out and you're going to pound the football against this Appalachian State defense and try to wear them down.
56-yard gain, 1st and goal from the 8. Scott again. That was easy. 2 plays and a touchdown for LSU.
They wouldn't have got him, Sean, if it was flag football. And again, Gary Croton, the offensive coordinator, raved about Quinn Johnson. Quinn Johnson goes in there, blows up the linebacker. Charles Scott just makes one move, and you're on the board in a hurry.
It's Josh Jasper to kick the extra point. It is good, and LSU is first on the board. Charles Scott, the junior, with an 8-yard run.
ready. Snaps good. The whole kick. Oh! The kick is the Mountaineers are going to try to take it back to the big house. 20, 15. The Mountaineers have just beat the Michigan Wolverines.
Our All-State Good Hands flashback. The big upset in the big house. Appalachian beat Michigan. One of the marquee wins for Coach Jerry Moore, but as he says, that was nice, but they play to win national championships, and that's what they've done at their level 3 years in a row.
The thing I liked about it too is they don't try to bury that Michigan game. They live it because it helps them in preparation for when they're coming to Baton Rouge. Right now they need to prepare some defense.
The players and coaches all thought they'd get confidence off of that win last year. Josh Jasper's kickoff down to Coco Hillary. And he's out of bounds across the 25-yard line. Stephen Ridley made the tackle, so here comes Armani Edwards.
I think a productive first series for Armani. Just a little high with the throw on the 4th down, but that was a breakdown in protection. But so far he's been on target.
He was 2 for 4 on their opening drive for 33 yards. Stop for no gain on his 1 carry. Takes a handoff on 1st down and swings it out to Hillary, who's down at the 34-yard line, tackled by Danny McCray. Rebuilt secondary. A lot of talent returning in the defensive line, but a lot of newcomers at linebacker and in the defensive backfield for LSU.
Yeah, certainly the defensive line is the strength of LSU, and what Appalachian State's doing to neutralize that. Short passes, quick passes, nullifying any type of pass rush that might be coming their way.
2nd down and 3. Getting Moore into the pile for a hard-earned yard. He ran into Tremaine Johnson and Jacob Catrera. Al Woods also in on the stop on Moore, emerging as the starting running back as a junior. He was not highly recruited in his senior year in high school in Mebane, North Carolina. He suffered a knee injury, and a lot of the bigger schools backed away. He came to Appalachian State on a half scholarship, earned his way up to a full scholarship. I think he might be a better complete back than Kevin Richardson, who left as their all-time leading rusher. A better blocker, pass receiver, pressure again on 3rd down. And Edwards content just to throw it at the feet of Devin Moore with Ricky Jean-Francois right in his face.
Well, I'll tell you, it helps to have seniority on your defensive line. Tremaine Johnson right there, understanding reading screen, pulls off his pass rush. They have the blitz coming from the top side, and that comes with experience and recognition. Good pressure, don't quit on the quarterback. And then you had Johnson sit there and say, okay, this little guy's not really going to block me, is he? He's kind of setting. I'm not going anywhere. I'll play defense and be DB, and cover the screen, and he covered it well.
Neil Young into punt, their 3rd year starting punter, transfer from Division II Wingate College. We have a new long snapper, Wilson Fitchett. So a bit of an interesting punt formation here for Appalachian State. Big splits to either side of the center.
And we talked to Coach Miles last night, and he was certainly aware of the 195-pound true freshman. So we're going to see what they have on this first punt for the Mountaineers and see if LSU tries to challenge them. Put a little nerve in him.
Let's see if Fitchett can be on target with his first snap under pressure. It was a good snap and a good punt by Young. Chad Jones across the 40 and out of bounds at the 44-yard line. 47-yard punt, 21 on the return. Once again, here's Rob.
Sean, LSU starting place kicker Colt David was not out there for that point after attempt. I went up to him and asked him why. He said turf toe on his plant foot. He is only the emergency kicker today for LSU.
He set the record in the SEC last year for points with 147, one of the best field goal kickers in the country. Hopefully it's just a minor setback with a long season still to be played. So first down for LSU, leading 7-0. They've run 3 plays, and Charles Scott has carried the ball on all 3, that time for a gain of 3. Jock Roman, Mark Legree made the tackle. Andrew Hatch, the sophomore, making his first career start. He got into 1 game as a backup last year against Middle Tennessee and threw 2 passes. Backing up Matt Flynn, who's now in the NFL with the Green Bay Packers. Hatch has had a very interesting trail to get to this point, which we'll tell you about as we go. There's plenty of time to throw his first pass as a starter, and it's good for a first down to Richard Dixon, the tight end, to the Appalachian State 45-yard line. Impact players for LSU, Trendon Holiday, one of the fastest men in the country, not just fastest football players, fastest men. He did not make the Olympic team as a sprinter. Demetrius Byrd will be their big play threat at wide receiver, and just plain big, Herman Johnson.
Herman House Johnson reminds me of Harold House Ballard that played for the Bills and Seahawks.
6'7", 375. Scott again chopped down this time for no gain. Jock Roman up on the line of scrimmage to help Malcolm Bennett with the tackle.
Right side. It's a nice adjustment by John Wiley, the defensive coordinator of the Mountaineers. Look, Andrew Hatch is a first-time quarterback. If I'm John Wiley, what I want to do is come in and say, okay, Andrew, you're going to beat me, but if you're going to beat me, you're going to beat me throwing the football. So Appalachian State's committing 8 and 9 men up to that line of scrimmage or within that box to take away any type of running game. It didn't work the first series. A little better defending the run this second series.
On 2nd and 10, a 4-man rush from the Mountaineers and a deep throw by Hatch. Contact in the secondary. No flags. Dominique McDuffie, a true freshman, tested early. Demetrius Byrd wants to know where's the laundry.
I like the read right there by Andrew Hatch, recognizing that his biggest playmaker, Demetrius Byrd, up against a true freshman, Dominique McDuffie. Good coverage by the true freshman. Doesn't seem to be intimidated here in Tiger Stadium.
It's an entirely new secondary for Appalachian State. They lost all 4 starters, and 3 of them were 4-year starters. McDuffie, a tall, talented freshman. Big corner at 6'2", 195. 3rd down and 10. Hatch is a good runner. He won't get the first down, but he gets it close enough to prompt a decision from Les Miles, and they might not have to go for it now as there are late flags thrown for some pushing and shoving away from where the tackle was made. 7-yard gain on the run. Matt Austin is our referee today.
Interesting defense. We'll start with the defensive call. It was a good call where they rushed 2 and dropped 8. Had everything covered, executed. Then you have a rookie mistake or a freshman mistake. What's one of the biggest things you worry about when you play young players? Keeping your composure. Right there, he's got to keep his composure. You can't give LSU opportunities. They'll kill you. They don't need any help.
Well, it's going to be 4th down. Now it's 1st down at the 23-yard line. LSU on the move nearly midway through the first quarter. Brandon LaFell to the 21-yard line. Gary Moore, the head coach at Appalachian State, talked during the week about the importance of staying away from penalties, something they did very well in that upset win at Michigan last year. They used only 27 players on offense and defense in that game. If you think about it, that's only 5 substitutes. And that's going to be hard to do here today in this incredible heat and humidity.
Well, they feel they have a little bit more depth, at least on the defensive side of the ball, where they'll play about 7 or 8 D linemen, which should help them. Pistol.
Yeah, Hatch hands it off to Charles Scott. And he powers near another first down. They lost their leading rusher, Jacob Hester, to the NFL and the San Diego Chargers, so it is likely to be running back by committee. They had about 4 candidates in the preseason who could emerge as the #1 rusher. Here on opening day, it's Charles Scott, who's more of the bull.
It looks like they took a visit to Nevada. Chris Ault put in the pistol right there, basically an I formation. And the idea of that is to get the tailback the ball at 7 yards so he can read his blockers. Coach Alt being the innovator and starting to get copied. That's the greatest compliment a coach can have when you start imitating you.
We've seen a number of teams last year incorporate the pistol into their offense. LSU brings it out here early. 3rd down and inches, and it's Scott again. 1st down. Banged down just shy of the 10-yard line by Jock Roman, their leading returning tackler. And another flag at the end of the play.
John Wiley was anxious to see Jock Roman play on this stage. Did a good job avoiding the house, pulling around, making a good tackle.
That's Lyle hit the right guard, part of a terrific offensive line. They return a lot of talent on both lines. They have 4 starting offensive linemen back from their national championship team of last year, including Hitt. The only new starter is the right tackle Joseph Barksdale. They overcame all those penalties last year to go 12-2 and win the BCS national championship. They're 2nd in 5 years. They're the first school to win more than one BCS national championship. Hatch with an option look and the pitch to Scott. And he delivers the blow to the defense and goes down to the 17. He said hello to Pierre Banks, returning starter, as well as Mark Legree, for an 8-yard gain.
Hey, Sean, one of the things you want to be as a defender, you want to be the hitter, not the hittee. And if you're a defensive back, you need to come up and wrap your arms. Mark Legree came up. He had a good shot on him. But again, we see this in college football all over the place, and it drives me insane when a young man doesn't wrap his arms. He does the old 1920 roadblock tackle style. Bring your arms, buddy, and protect yourself, because you're going to get a shot no matter what. And right there, Scott delivered the blow.
And Mark Legree, one of those new starters in the secondary. It might be a cramp for Scott. He's been busy early. 7 rushes for 86 yards, including the long run of the first play from scrimmage, the longest run of his career. That was 56 yards. And he took it in on the next play, 8 for the only score of the game so far.
Yeah, and good blocking by the offensive line. Sean, I wanted to go back to that a little bit. You and I were talking why LSU, you know, people are talking about them, but nobody's saying they can defend a national championship. At least early on, you don't hear that. And the reason why I think they can defend, because I do believe they have the best offensive line and the best defensive line in the country. And if they can get development from the quarterback, they're going to be in it, man. I'm telling you, they're a good football team.
Wes Miles says he's not much concerned with national championship contender speculation at this time of the year. Keelan Williams comes in for Scott, who appeared to have a cramp. Hatch zips one. It's caught. And it is a touchdown for Demetrius Byrd.
The biggest difference from high school to college as a defensive back is angles. Right there, McDuffie came on the poor angle. Demetrius Byrd, the veteran, getting the spin move, and it's out.
Josh Jasper kicks the extra point. 17-yard touchdown pass. Hatch, the first of his career, to Demetrius Byrd, who caught 7 touchdown passes a year ago.
ESPN's College Football Primetime is presented by Hampton Hotels. At Hampton, we love having you here. And in part by the GM Employee Discount for everyone.
Look at Mike the Tiger trying to stay cool on this very hot and humid late August day. Mike the Tiger, tradition that dates back to 1934 here on the LSU campus. That's Mike the 6th, who started his reign last year, born in 2005. He's expected to get up to about 700 pounds when he's fully grown. pretty big already. Josh Jasper kicks off with a 14-0 lead for LSU. Coco Hillary pulled down just shy of the 25-yard line. Again, it was Ryan Baker on special teams. Here's Rob Stone.
Sean, we're joined by Mike Martin, the chancellor here at LSU, and the talks about potentially postponing this game, canceling it, or moving it back had gone on for days. Why was it so important for LSU to play this game today?
Well, we want to maintain our tradition, and this is a great tradition at LSU, but we were also sure that we could meet all the obligations to keeping the campus safe and to making sure that we assist the rest of the state. So we met with the governor's staff, and everybody agreed we could pull this off.
How are you guys assisting the state today?
Well, next door at PMAC right now, they're evacuating people who have medical needs from the southern part of the state. We'll continue to do that. We've got rooms available. We've got all kinds of emergency assistance available. We got water, fuel, you name it. This institution learned a great deal from Katrina and Rita, and we're putting it in action.
As far as the in-game atmosphere here, is there anything you're doing for the fans here to better educate them on what's coming?
Well, we told them what was up. We asked them to get in here early. We canceled all pre- and post-game official events and said, let's as soon as we're done, let's make sure we're out of the way for other things to happen. And I think they'll do that because these are great fans and great citizens.
Chancellor, we thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rob. Thanks to the chancellor as well. These people here at LSU had a lot of work to do on the fly to change many logistics to get this game played this morning. The decision to change the start time was only made at about 1:30 in the afternoon yesterday. Armani Edwards is sacked back at the 20. Derek Beckwith and Marlon Favorite. Of course, for many days they've had their eyes on Hurricane Gustav. Right now, 200 miles south of Cuba. This morning upgraded to a Category 3 with winds of about 120 miles per hour, and is forecast to hit the Louisiana coast around 2 a.m. Tuesday morning. Governor Bobby Jindal has declared a state of emergency. There are evacuations already taking place in some parts of the state. Many of these fans today may make their way home and then turn around and leave that home. 3rd down and 12. And Edwards' pass is incomplete. Could have been caught, but Coco Hillary didn't catch it near the first down marker. Harry Coleman in coverage, 3 and out for Appalachian State.
Although the ball was dropped right there, you see the talent of Armani Edwards setting tall in the pocket, finding the throwing lane, and delivering a very catchable ball to his most reliable wide receiver in Coco Hillary. But if Appalachian State wants to have any chance to get on this game or get something going, when you have an opportunity to make a play, you better make it. No disrespect, this isn't Richmond. This is the defending national champions.
Neil Young punts under some duress. It's another good nose-up spiral and a fair catch made by Chad Jones at the 37-yard line, a 43-yard punt. In this battle of national champions, it's all LSU here in the first 11 minutes. Back at Tiger Stadium in Baton Rouge, season opener for the two defending national champs. And it's the BCS champion LSU Tigers leading 14-0. So many of these players from Louisiana, including the outstanding defensive end Tyson Jackson from Edgard. The memory of Katrina still very fresh in his mind. When that happened 3 years ago, his family tried to evacuate to Houston, got stuck in the traffic, wound up staying at his apartment here on the LSU campus. 9 people stayed with him. Here's Hatch on the run. Didn't have anywhere to throw it, so he took it down and ran it for about 17 yards to the 44 of Appalachian State. We visited with Tyson Jackson yesterday, Chris. The reality of what's going on here with Gustav, very real in his mind. He said his family may evacuate and head to Houston right after this game if they get the word that evacuations are underway in New Orleans.
You know, the thing, just to being down here for a couple of days and just talking to various people, how calm they are about the situation. And this is, I guess, what they grew up with, but they're not going to make the same mistakes earlier. So Tyson's family will be on their way, and it puts his mind at ease.
Many of these other players have their families impacted. Keelan Williams, the ball carrier, and Leonard Love made the tackle. course, here in Baton Rouge, we're about 70 miles away from New Orleans. Les Miles told us yesterday that during Katrina here, they had winds in the neighborhood of 60 miles per hour, some trees down, power outages and that sort of thing, but nothing approaching the devastation of New Orleans and other areas of the Gulf Coast. As a result, many of the folks who evacuated New Orleans wound up here in Baton Rouge, and the population has swelled here. We certainly saw that in the traffic in this city yesterday. Hatch down the middle, intended for the tight end Dixon, and well defended again with Leonard Love in on the coverage with Pierre Banks.
Well, the other thing, and Les Miles' best concern or greatest concern when these situations arise is, of course, for his players and his players' families, and make sure that if the players have to go home to board up windows, he'll send them home. And he's going to put his players in the safety of his players and his family first. And that's what he does. He puts football in perspective and understands what's going on.
34-6 in 3 years here, the best 3-year stretch in the history of LSU football. Many thought what Nick Saban accomplished here would be a tough act to follow. He has built on that and surpassed it. Hatch with a blitz coming, dumps it off. A screen to Jared Mitchell, who's also a star on the baseball team here at LSU. Good call and well executed. They go to the 24-yard line, a 19-yard gain and a first down.
And that's why you're the smartest play-by-play man in the game, Sean. It was a great call against the blitzing defense and man defense. And you're going to see LSU do a good job of getting a body on a body, including the house, Herman Johnson. Although he doesn't get a devastating block, he avalanches the little defensive back. Defensive back loses sight of the ball carrier, and of course you got a first down. But Gary Croton right now is doing what he wants to do. Good pickup by the offensive line on the blitz coverage, and good blocking downfield.
First and 10. Hatch showing that excellent running ability, even at 225 pounds. DJ Smith made the tackle, but it's another first down near the 12-yard line, a 12-yard gain.
Again, when you're able to run the football and play action works, you see Hatch, he does a good job of stuffing it in the stomach of Keelan Williams. And that's a way to get the confidence of a young quarterback. You don't have to just throw the ball, especially with Hatch, who's known as a runner. You know, you get him some yards on the ground, that'll build his confidence. You haven't seen that since the Harvard JV game.
Started his collegiate career at Harvard University in Cambridge, Massachusetts. 3 for 5 passing, 3 carries for 38 yards for Hatch. Swings it out wide. Brandon LaFell trying to shake and bake. He's down at the 3. Jabari Fletcher took him down with help from Leonard Love. Hatch went to high school in Henderson, Nevada. He grew up in the San Diego area. He's a Mormon young man recruited to go to BYU by Gary Croton, who was then the head coach at BYU, now the offensive coordinator at LSU. Committed to BYU, then Gary Croton left, so Hatch took advantage of the opportunity to go to Harvard, was on the JV team for 1 year, then went on a Mormon mission to Chile, hurt his knee playing soccer about 7 months into his mission, returned home to Nevada, and wound up here with Coach Croton at LSU. And now he's the starting quarterback for the defending national champs. Gave it to Keelan Williams, who's down near the 2, appears to be shy of the first down. DJ Smith, who started last year as a true freshman at linebacker, made the tackle for the Mountaineers.
Yeah, just with Andrew and spending time with him, obviously he's a little bit older because of his mission trip to Chile, but just a lot of confidence, and things kind of just played out for him, whereas coach actually called Coach Croton about maybe going to some type of quarterback camp to help his skills, and sure enough, LSU needed a quarterback, and here he is.
3rd and short, and the deep pitch to Keelan Williams. He's in trouble and will not get the first down. They needed about a foot for the first down. They were a couple of yards from a touchdown, but good defense there by the outstanding linebacker DJ Smith. They have all 3 linebackers back. That is by far the strength of this Mountaineer defense. And it's the end of the first quarter. This is the 3rd possession of the game for LSU. They've scored touchdowns on each of their first 2. They'll have 4th down coming up when the second quarter begins. LSU leads 14-0. The second quarter about to begin here in Baton Rouge with 4th down and a long one at the 3-yard line. Les Miles has decided to send Josh Jasper on to try the first field goal of his career. Sophomore from Memphis, Tennessee, a 21-yard try, and it is good. So it's 17-0 in favor of the LSU Tigers in this head-to-head matchup of defending national champions. ESPN Kickoff Week presented by Gillette continues on ABC tonight. Alabama and Clemson, perhaps the marquee matchup of this kickoff weekend. Some of you will see Michigan State against California. The Chick-fil-A college kickoff game, a part of ESPN Kickoff Week presented by Gillette. ABC tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Check the local listings for the game in your area. Clemson, again, a very talented team. Most believe the best in the ACC. Some billing them as a contender for the national championship. But it seems like every year they can't win the big one. They're starting with a big one tonight.
Well, I think it helps them, too. And right there, that's a good way to start with that dynamic duo. C.J. Spiller and James Davis, inside and outside, both of them with great speed. But I don't know. People don't often mention Wake Forest, Sean. I like Wake Forest. They're always solid and well-coached team by Jim Grove down there. We'll see. The ACC is going to be good football this year.
Jasper to kick off. Just tuning in, Colt David, one of the best field goal kickers in the country with turf toe. So he is not in action in this season opener. Jasper's handled the kickoffs and now has his first career field goal as well. This kickoff down to Coco Hillary near the 6. And he hasn't been able to wiggle free yet. That one back for 18 yards to the 24. And that's where Appalachian State begins. Prolific offensive team a year ago, averaged just under 43 points per game, had 488 yards of offense per game, but they are stepping up in terms of the caliber of the competition here today.
Yeah, and they're not used to seeing the size and speed. Now they'll have some players that they run into in their conference, but not at this caliber, and so many at this caliber. They have to find a way to get in manageable second down and third down situations, and how you do that is starting going back to your mid-range passing game around 8 to 12 yards to get something going.
Edwards. Might have been a forward pass to Coco Hillary. And he goes to the 28-yard line. Curtis Taylor made the tackle. There are the numbers a year ago. The problem for Appalachian State last year, and they were able to overcome it, was the defense. They gave up almost 27 points per game. They did lose twice last year. They managed to overcome those setbacks and win their 3rd straight FCS National Championship.
And Coach Moore thought he would have a better defense this year. So far, not the case.
Edwards with a lot of time, throws it out there deep and too high for Brian Quick. He's quick, but not that quick. And Chris Hawkins had the coverage.
You know, although the ball was overthrown where his guy or no guy catches it, I'll tell you, I was impressed right there by the protection of the Appalachian State offensive line. I mean, we're talking about the best defensive line in the country, hands down. And yet those 5 guys that stood there like a wall. You can see right here, everybody is getting their guy. And what I think happens is the threat of Armani Edwards running the football will put a little hesitancy in that pass rush of LSU.
They also kept 2 running backs in the block there. Here comes a big rush from the Tigers. Edwards scrambling for his life. Could not get to the corner and then had a man, but it's too high. The throw under duress sailed over the head of Blake Elder.
That's a famous lookout block right there. That's when the offensive lineman blows an assignment or misses his guy and throws a no-hitter, turns around and yells, "Look out, Armani, look out!" You're going to see a shot that Armani takes right there by Harry Coleman. Anytime you can get a shot on the quarterback, that's the real deal.
Chad Jones waits for the punt from Neil Young. Early stages of the second quarter, 17-0 LSU. Jones caught it on the move at the 33, made the first 2 miss, and takes it out near the 50-yard line. 18-yard return of a 40-yard punt.
In a world over.
Welcome back to ESPN College Football, presented by Hampton Hotels. Opening day for LSU. They raised the flag for their national championship of last season. Had a little trouble unfurling the flag at first, but then got it high in the air. Their flag from 2003 and from 1958. First down, LSU leading 17-0. Hatch's pass intended for the tight end Richard Dixon and incomplete.
Normally the reliable Richard Dixon. But then, again, if you're Gary Croton and you're observing Hatch, you have to be pleased at what you're seeing so far. To get a young quarterback, you're able to establish the run, and you're not asking him to make difficult throws or deep throws. You're just asking him to manage the game like a point guard, distribute it to the playmakers, and he's done a good job of doing that so far.
Trenton Holiday is in the game. He takes the handoff. World-class sprinters run a 10.02 meters, but he never could find any running room there. Quavian Lewis tracked him down. Holiday's only 5'5", but Gary Croton says he's the fastest man he's ever seen on a football field, and the offensive coordinator has a special part of his call sheet, plays just specifically designed for Trenton Holiday.
And he likes to use him when he thinks the defense is getting tired or worn down, and shock him with that speed. One way to slow a speed back down is make him run the hump. What the hump is you force him to run backwards or sideways like they did there, and they let the pursuit get him.
Third down and 10. Richard Murphy has come in at tailback. Hatch nowhere to throw it, so he's going to run it, and he does not get the first down. Taken down at the 42 by Pierre Banks, the 16th child in a family of 17 kids.
Yeah, Pierre Banks is a solid player along with Jacques Roman. It's like the French connection at linebacker there. Thank you, Sean.
Graduated. I'll throw in a really courtesy laugh for you. Pierre's already graduated, as you saw. Did that in 3 years. He's been working toward a master's. It'll be the first punt in his career for Brady Dalfrey, who's been patiently waiting. He's a fifth-year senior. This is his first career punt. He hasn't punted in a real game since high school in 2003. And it's a good one. Out of bounds at the 10-yard line. Well, he's well rested. 32-yard punt. Here's Rob Stone.
Well, Sean, I was right by Armani Edwards when he took that last hit to end their last series. And I looked in his eyes, you know, no anger, no pain, no stress, just this calm focus. You know, he's a really even-tempered kid on and off the field. This is a guy who's been, you know, prone to taking naps in the locker room on game day. And honestly, he is so calm right now. I do not even see sweat on his forehead. He is unfazed by D linemen and apparently also Mother Nature.
He is slightly fazed by plane rides. The trip down here was just the second time in his life that he's taken an airplane trip. Last year, the trip to Michigan was the first. He didn't like flying. Devin Moore, the ball carrier, and gets about a yard. He said last year on the flight to Michigan, he looked out the window, looked down at Knoxville, Tennessee, saw the football stadium, Mammoth Stadium, but it looked tiny from the air. He said, I realized how high we are. This year he got an aisle seat, so he didn't want to look out the window on the trip down here. The freshman, he ran for over 1,000 and passed for more than 2,000, just the sixth quarterback to do that. He would have been there again last year, except for the injury that cost him 4.5 games. Nice throw and a juggling catch made by Brian Quick. Looked like it was going to wind up on the grass, but he fielded his own bobble and got a first down out to the 21-yard line.
You know, talking to Armani yesterday, I asked him, who do you look to? Who's your favorite quarterback? And interesting, he said Peyton Manning. I thought because Peyton, he throws a great ball. He's won a Super Bowl. He's a hard worker. And his main reason why he looks to Peyton Manning is because his composure. And you're seeing that right here today on display.
He lost his helmet as he tried to duck under the hit from Curtis Taylor. Got out to the 23 for a gain of 2. Then lost the headgear.
See right here, Curtis Taylor's coming with some vengeance and some passion and tried to go after. And one thing we know about Armani, Sean, after going their last 3 ball games, this being the 3rd, is that he can take a hit. Very durable for 185.
2nd and 7. 17-0 LSU. Early 2nd quarter. And now a whistle.
Timeout, Appalachia State. Their first time out of the half.
So we'll take a break. Armani Edwards and Appalachian State trying to get the offense started.
New Hampshire. ESPN's College Football Primetime. Brought to you by Mitsubishi Motors. Hop in, it's go time. And ESPN Game Plan. Tonight, catch Clemson, Alabama, and Michigan State Cal.
Sean McDonough, Chris Spielman, Rob Stone, delighted to have you with us on ESPN Classic today. ESPN College Football presented by Hampton Hotels. On 2nd down, here's Devin Radford with his first carry as a Mountaineer. He's a transfer with great speed out of Virginia Tech. And he was pulled down by Curtis Taylor at the 26 for a pickup of 4 and 1 carry, and he limps off.
You see right there, Curtis Taylor, LSU's playing their dime defense, and that allows Curtis Taylor to come up and play the linebacker position, which gives him a little bit more speed. And right there, it was on display as he chases down the speeding Redford.
Now 3rd down and 2. Edwards finds a seam, loses his helmet again. I want to buckle that up a bit tighter. He's playing with the big boys today. That's at the 33-yard line, a gain of 6 and a first down.
Well, that's a problem. Now you got to get to the trainer, the equipment man, and say, get this fixed, or he's going to get hurt, and I mean hurt in a horrible way. And right there, you see the abandon that he plays with. Get a helmet that fits, or get a better headband to cover your hair so it's not slipping off. Do something. But you got to get him off the field, call timeout, and get that fixed, or he won't be here.
Harry Coleman lowered his head, the defender. And movement on the right end of the offensive line. Like Ori Fry, who's a reserve who plays a number of positions on the
Dead
line,
ball,
moved early.
Full start. 64 offense. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
That's what being over a preseason All-American will do to you. It'll give you a little of the jumpies.
Sean Elliott, the offensive line coach, none too pleased. He came storming onto the field moments ago when they called that last timeout. Obviously agitated with his crew. Smallish offensive line, but what they lack in size they make up for in quickness. At least that's what they hope. 5 wide receivers, 4 to the right of Edwards. Well-designed play by the Appalachian State Mountaineers. They ran to the side with the 1 wide receiver. Curtis Taylor, another tackle. Tremaine Johnson helping as well. An 11-yard gain.
And this is the play you'll kind of see. You go around the parks across the country and see kids playing sandlot football. Okay, you snap it to the fastest guy in the team. Fastest guy in the team, you take it around the end. It's simple, but yet effective.
Now Edwards winds up the throw, and his pass is incomplete. Looking for Brian Quick. Jai Eugene, the new starter at quarterback as a sophomore, made the play. He's out of St. Rose, Louisiana.
And one way to make an impression on your coaching staff is catch the ball. And right now, the young receivers, even Coco Hillary's letting Armani down a little bit by not catching the football. Every pass he's thrown has pretty much been in their hands. And if you're going to play college football, the rule is touch it fingers, make the catch. You're that good.
3rd down and 4 from their own 40. Edwards' pass is batted down in the interior of that defensive line. Ricky Jean-Francois knocked it out of the air. Here's Rob Stone.
Sean, Les Miles told me pregame to expect backup quarterback Jarrett Lee sometime in the first quarter, maybe the second quarter. Guess what time it is? Time for Jarrett Lee. Andrew Hatch was walking around without his helmet on. That's a big giveaway that he's not going to be going in. I asked Jarrett, and he said, yep, I'm up next.
I know they're anxious to see both guys play. They actually would like to see even true freshman Jordan Jefferson get in the ball game.
Fourth punt for Neil Young, and a fair catch made by Chad Jones at the 18. 42-yard punt. And here comes Jarrett Lee with some last words of advice from Les Miles. Redshirt freshman out of Brenham, Texas, about an hour north of Houston near College Station. His dad was an assistant coach on his high school football team. He's been around it a long time. His dad is still coaching in Brenham. In fact, had a game last night, was going to make about the 6-hour drive over here. He had to get on the road real early for this 10 a.m. local start.
Well, Jarrett put on that freshman 40. He took that literally last year, got up to about 235 pounds, got in shape.
Back down to about 212 now. His first job is to hand it to Charles Scott, who rumbles for a first down to the 30. Here Banks made the tackle. Here's Jarrett Lee's dad, Stephen. We're going to find out how their team did last night.
Yeah.
They're great high school football in the state of Texas.
Be interesting to compare the offenses that they'll run with Andrew Hatch, which is a lot of I-backs. And right now they're starting Jarrett Lee in the shotgun check with me system as he looks to the sidelines.
If they had questions at running back, they might be answered here in the first game. Scott has 98 yards rushing in the first half. Lee on target to Richard Dixon, who leaps over a would-be tackler and goes to the 49 for a first down. He's on the Mackey Award watch list as the best tight end in the country. And that's a highlight play to put on his reel. He went right over Leonard Love. It was not Love who was in the air. It was Dixon in the air over Love for 19.
Well, two things wrong right here. Great athletic ability. But number 22, Love, you're going to get hurt, son. You can't put your eyes in the dirt. Keep your head up and wrap your arms, or you'll get embarrassed or you'll get hurt. Right there he got embarrassed because he turned it down. And I'm not trying to be mean to the kid, but if you're going to play football, come up and tackle.
Scott. You're not showing Leonard any love right there.
I'm just concerned about it because I don't want him to get hurt, Sean. I've been around this game and I've seen it live and in person. When guys duck their heads, they get hurt. And the thing that drives me crazy, and we've talked about this all last year, and we'll talk about it again all this year, is people are poor tacklers, especially in the secondary, because they do not use their arms. And I want them to do well, and I don't want them to get hurt. See what you hit what you see.
Jarrett Lee, bothered about a week and a half ago by back spasms that dropped him right to his knees. He said he never really had back problems before. His pass is incomplete. And it'll be third down. And Chris, a lot of questions at the quarterback position. Hatch, Lee, maybe the freshman Jefferson at some point. But in the past, when they've had success here in the recent years, they won national championships with quarterbacks who were really game managers more than they were, you know, eye-popping talents.
Yeah, I think the best way to describe it's a point guard, right? What do? Distribute the ball to your playmakers and don't turn it over. Well, that's the same thing with the quarterbacks here at LSU. Distribute the ball to the playmakers. Gosh, no, you have enough of them, and don't turn the ball over.
3rd and 3. Charles Scott is over 100 yards here in the half. Goes down to the 35-yard line. 10 carries for Scott. He's up to 114 yards. Lanston Tanya, freshman, made the tackle.
Richard Murphy on the quick screen pass right there, a guy that's dangerous in the open field. I'll talk to Gary Croton about him, Les Miles about him. He's a guy that's just a natural runner and a luxury of the depth of the running back position, whether it's Scott, whether it's Keelan Williams, or of course Richard Murphy.
I love the conversation you had with Gary Croton yesterday. He said, "Coach, I watched the game film of the spring game," and he said, "Number 26."
Yeah.
He knew exactly where you were going. Murphy was so impressive in the spring game, you didn't have to finish your sentence. He knew where you were going.
Yeah, I was just checking to make sure that I can still see talent, and right there I see talent. But a luxury is the depth And again, it's my stormtrooper theory from the Star Wars movies. The guys in the white helmets and shields, man, 50 of them go down. They just keep marching at you. They all look the same. They run the same. The rear ends are the same size on the defensive line. It's a beautiful thing.
Illegal substitution on the defense, number 95. 12 men on the field. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
Gordy Witt involved for Sean Wiley when he should not have been. You patented that theory, you trademarked that. Is that your own? I would hate to see somebody steal that one.
I put a lot of thought into that.
I can tell.
You can tell I have kids, right? Just so I don't break out in a Barney tune here in a few minutes.
Richard Murphy stays in as the back, adjacent to Jarrett Lee. Lee from Brenham High School in Texas, same school that produced Lima Swede, the outstanding wide receiver at the University of Texas. Man wide open, touchdown, Brandon LaFell.
Couple things on this right here, Sean. First of all, you got to break down in coverage. Brandon LaFell up top here, one of these two guys, and what you'll see is that he will not quit on the route as the ball snapped. Just a little out and up from the inside receiver, which is Brandon LaFell. And what I like is Jarrett Lee. When the pressure came, he stepped into the pocket. His eyes didn't go down to run. His eyes stayed down the field to the wide receiver. Good veteran move right there. Just they stayed patient and delivered the touchdown.
First touchdown pass of Jarrett Lee's career went to the junior Brandon LaFell out of Houston, Texas. Back in Baton Rouge in time for our first Aflac trivia question of the season. This is the second time LSU has played the #1 ranked FCS team in the country. They are the Artists, formerly known as Division I AA schools. When was the first time? I think I read this in the notes, so I am going to excuse myself from competing.
I don't know. Do you have to know when, or do you have to know who?
I think it should be when and who.
Yeah.
We don't phrase the questions. We just try to answer them in our pathetic sort of way. Devin Radford took the bouncing kickoff and took a wallop. If there were any doubts that LSU would be ready to play against an FCS team in an early kickoff that required a much earlier wake-up call than expected, those doubts have been erased very early today. Ron Brooks delivered the hit. Here's a tutorial. Of course, you know what the BCS is, Bowl Championship Series, which LSU won with the win over Ohio State. Second time in 5 years they've won it. FCS is the championship. They play the playoffs like in 1AA. FBS are the schools at the level formerly known as 1A that play in bowl games. That's the B football bowl subdivision. High throw over the head of Coco. And you have a feeling some of these receivers might be a little gun shy right now too, the way that they're getting hit. I don't think Coco had a chance to catch that one, but I'm not sure I'd want to be in an open space right now if I was a Mountaineer.
Well, that and Armani's got his helmet knocked off twice, and so he might be a little shaken because that's normally a throw that he does not miss. Why he missed it, in my opinion, is his shoulders weren't turned up the field and his shoulders weren't square, so he couldn't deliver the ball. A little anxious to get rid of it.
Look out, blitz off the corner. Edwards got it off, then he took a hit. He has a first down to Devin Moore across the 40-yard line. Chris Hawkins came on a corner blitz from the blind side of Edwards, who just was able to unload it to Moore, the junior from Mebane, North Carolina, right near Chapel Hill. That's a 19-yard pickup.
Good recognition right here by Armani, knowing he's going to take the shot, holding, letting the route develop downfield. And that's what he talked about yesterday about Peyton Manning being able to throw strikes while you're getting hit.
Under 5 minutes to go in the first half now. LSU leads 24-0. They've never lost to a team out of the FCS. Difficulty right off the shotgun snap. Raheem Alem there to take down Armani Edwards. And here's Rob Stone.
Well, guys, I can assure you that the safety and the head of Armani Edwards is of the utmost importance to Appalachian State. That entire LSU drive when Armani was on the sideline, they spent every second of it working on his helmet. They're readjusting the snap buttons and also applying some tape to the straps to try and tighten it up for him.
Yeah, I mean, those are good hits, but those aren't helmet knocked-off hits, man. Those, I mean, they're good hits, but there's something wrong with the helmet.
Edwards, nice footwork in the backfield. Another big hit. Coco Hillary leveled.
Yeah.
They'll give him forward progress to the 45, and that was all the progress he made thanks to Harry Coleman, the junior out of Baldwin, Louisiana.
And one thing you notice about LSU is their ability to tackle well. And when we talked to Scott Satterfield, the offensive coordinator, he made a point to say they're great open field tacklers. One of the reasons why is they run through their target. They don't stop at the target or drop to their knees on contact. They try to run and explode the man on contact.
The Appalachian State coaches watched a lot of film, so we appreciate how hard LSU plays. For a team of that talent level, they're always playing hard too. Blake Elder couldn't catch it. Jai Eugene was there. Actually, they did give him the catch, and they'll spot it at the 50. Elder had a very good camp to emerge in the rotation as a sophomore from Duncan, South Carolina. Yeah, he had it.
Yeah.
Knee down.
Good call.
4th down, less than a yard. Appalachian State's going to go for it, down 24-0. Under 3 minutes to go in the half. The pitch to Moore, a bad one, and Moore falls on it, but he doesn't have the first down yardage. And the Tigers will take over on downs with 2:49 remaining in the first half.
It looks like the spacing between the running back and the quarterback too close together. Not enough of an angle to make the pitch to allow the running back to catch it in stride. It's almost like a side-to-side pitch. Although I thought the pitch could have been caught by Devin Moore, still the spacing is incorrect. In my opinion, if you're going to run the option, you have to have proper spacing and proper width between quarterback and running back to execute the option.
Moore frustrated. Jarrett Lee back at the helm now for LSU. Threw it into traffic and almost had it intercepted by Pierre Banks, the preseason Southern Conference Defensive Player of the Year.
Both LSU quarterbacks have a favorite receiver, and we know who that is. It's Hickson. I mean, he's their pacifier. He's the comfort guy, and that's why Pierre Banks got such a great break on the ball, because Jarrett Lee looked nowhere else. He was going to Hickson no matter what, and they'll grow as they get more reps. They'll keep going on.
Second and 10.
Richard Dixon, excuse me.
He's changed his number to 18 this year from 82. Long count. Crowd saw the play clock winding down.
Delay of game. Offense number 12. 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
Jarrett Lee did not see it. Yeah, that can happen to an experienced quarterback too, but it's more likely to happen to a player in his first college game. Of course, the new clock rules this year are in effect in college football.
Second down, 15. Ball is now
So not only are the new quarterbacks adjusting to the timing situations, but the veterans are as well. They seem to be a little bit confused here again. Swing pass on 2nd and 15. Charles Scott pulled down by DJ Smith, just short of the first down. 14-yard completion. Nearing 2 minutes left in the half. It's now a 40-second play clock after each play. If there's a penalty or another administrative stoppage, they'll set it to 25. And a new part of it this year, the game clock will restart after plays that go out of bounds once the ball is respotted, except in the last 2 minutes of the half.
No, basically NFL rules.
In
Until
those
2
areas.
minutes, yeah.
Trying to speed up the game a little bit. Charles Scott carries for the first down. I don't know why they don't go the NFL thing where I don't know why you have to stop the clock to move the chains.
I agree. Those
I
guys
think
are.
most fans would like to see more plays. I don't want to see fewer plays in a game.
Right.
If you want to shorten the game, just don't stop the clock every time there's a chain movement.
Yeah, and you know, I think why you don't see that is probably guys on the rules committee are mostly offensive guys, and it certainly helps them in a 2-minute drill, which Jarrett Lee right now is getting a chance to operate for the Tiger offense. But I agree with you, Sean. Those chain gang guys can handle it. They're in relatively good shape.
78 offense, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Joseph Barksdale, the only new starter in the offensive line, guilty of the movement. And then if there's a problem, and if there's a time or two where the chains aren't moving fast enough, stop it momentarily, let them set it. But this whole notion of the clock stopping to move the chains.
Yeah,
you think those guys are fast, though?
Fast enough. I don't know. We'll get them on the Rob Stone training program.
I mean, are they any slower than... Are they going to work out at curves?
Yes.
Are they any slower than the NFL guys?
No.
I mean...
At some point, you guys are going to get tired of that joke, aren't you?
No.
Because I know I am. Yeah, I was tired of it 2 seasons ago.
Brandon LaFell made the catch. But, I mean, you know, does the NFL have Usain Bolt carrying their chains up and down the sideline? They have a lot of guys who look like the same guys we have here today.
I really think that it's the offensive coaches that make the rules. You don't want to lose it down, and it's easier to operate in 2-minute drill. That's why I think that rule stays in place in college football.
Little screen, Demetrius Byrd. He's their big playmaking threat. Well, we'll give you a little hint on the Athletic Trivia question. LSU today playing their 5th FCS team all time. They've never lost, 4-0. Well, I think we're going to give you the answer if I can give you a clue. They've played the Citadel, Western Illinois, Appalachian State, and Western Carolina. So what's the answer?
Western Illinois.
Good for you. You beat it just before it came up on the screen. They were #1 when LSU beat them back in 2003. Of course, Appalachian State came here in 2005 and gave the Tigers quite a game early in the year. Pass too high for Richard Dixon. They lost 24-0 to the Mountaineers, but it was 14-0 in the middle of the 4th quarter. Jerry Moore's team was on the move in that game. Not so close so far today.
Now, just up front, the difference has been the offensive and defensive lines for LSU pretty much dominating the line of scrimmage.
Appalachian State's history against FBS teams. A notable win. They've won 7 times all time against teams from what was once known as Division 1A. The other 6 wins are against Wake Forest. Andrew Hatch has come back in for the short yardage play. They get the first down. They get the touchdown from Charles Scott, who's had a tremendous first half.
What you get when you commit this many people to the line of scrimmage, you have no safety help. You have 10 guys up there on the line of scrimmage with Cortez Gilbert in the back end. Now, if it pops through there like it does because DJ Smith gets nosy, does not hold the back side and fill his gap, Cortez Gilbert over the top loses sight of the ball carrier. Experienced power runner like Scott puts it in.
144 yards and 2 touchdowns for Scott. Josh Jasper added the extra point. 29-yard touchdown run. And the Tigers now lead 31-0 with 17 seconds to go till halftime.
And Charles Scott with patience and vision, the offensive line changing the line of scrimmage. All that is they're taking the defensive line of Appalachian State, pushing them back off the ball, which changes the line of scrimmage. And when you have power and speed and vision, you're a dangerous runner like Mr. Scott.
That was their 4th leading rusher last year. Jacob Hester led the way with over 1,100 yards. Scott had 45 carries all of last season, but averaged 7.2 per carry. Career high today with his 144 yards in less than a full half.
You know, they have no worries because if he gets tired, we'll counter you with Keelan Williams. And if he gets tired, we'll counter you with Richard Murphy. And that's what LSU has, like the Ohio States, the SCs of the USCs of the world, is tremendous depth and talent.
But I'm going to look at my watch here. 12:30 Eastern time. Was that the first Ohio State reference of the season, or did I miss one already?
Oh, Have I not mentioned him yet? Just wanted to congratulate Coach Tressel, who became the highest paid coach in the Big Ten with $1 million plus, added to his $2.5 million.
Well, that's good. Maybe we'll get the extra topping on the pizza now. Josh Jasper squibbed one. And Josh Jackson fell on it for Appalachian State.
I thought they had him at a bargain, to be honest with you. At $2.5 million, I thought he was a bargain.
He coaches football. You know, he's a great football coach. He's a wonderful human being, but it's kind of silly what these college football coaches get paid now, isn't it? Of course, if it was broadcasting, I would say it was nowhere near enough.
Well, they're responsible for creating a tremendous amount of revenue, and they oversee that revenue-generating product.
I talked to one athletic director, as Appalachian State goes on first down, whose coach was being wooed by a very big school last winter, and the money was ridiculous. And the athletic director said, so let's say all of us got together, this would be collusion, but all of us got together and paid our coach $250,000. Would they still coach? I mean, these guys want to coach football. That's a lot of money. So, yes, they do bring in a lot of revenue with the successes they have on the field, but most of them would do it for the love of coaching.
Yeah, if we do that, then I'll take a visit to the Kremlin.
Hard to believe you didn't get the call to be the vice president and you didn't take it. Devin Moore, the ball carrier. Gary Beckwith made the tackle. Charles Scott, the star of the first half from the very first play from scrimmage of the season. That started a career best half, 144 yards, 2 touchdowns. Here's Rob.
Coach Miles, you just had a conversation with your offensive coordinator. What were you telling him?
Well, I want to be able to use the clock. I want to be efficient. I don't want to put the top on the offense. I want to throw it and run it.
How do you and your staff address your quarterbacks at halftime?
We're doing the same things we did first half. We're going to run the football, throw the football. We're going to use them both.
You're looking for a starting running back. Charles Scott has made a nice impression in the first half. How do you assess his performance through the first half?
Well, as long as we're running the football effectively, and Charles certainly provides us with a very capable, fast, big back. And I think some other guys will get chances in this game.
What have you guys done to limit Armani Edwards?
Right now, our defense is playing with great intensity. That's the key. I mean, you know, some of the hits that their quarterback has sustained just let you know our guys are flying to the ball, and that's the way it's supposed to be.
Coach, we appreciate your time. Thank you.
All right, Rob, thank you. We're at halftime. The score is LSU 31 and Appalachian State nothing. Coming up after a break, Reese Davis, Mark May, and Lou Holtz talk about all of today's game action. We did not.
We will.
Only 5 first downs in the first half for Appalachian State. They trail 31-0. The second half after this. Welcome back to ESPN's presentation of college football, brought to you by Hampton Hotels. Just about ready for the second half. Here's Rob Stone with Jerry Moore.
Oh, Coach Moore, you're just talking with your 2 captains. What'd you tell them?
Well, they're just going after that second half coin decision, and I just tell them, hey, the most important thing we got right now is leadership. Those 2 guys are our leaders, offensively and defensively. We've never been in a situation like this, and we sure hadn't in a long, long time. There's not anybody on this story. So what happened, how we play the second half right now is so important. I mean, obviously, LSU's a terrific football team. But what's important for us right now is how we play the next 30 minutes.
How will this scoreline affect your play calling in the second?
Oh, I don't think that much. We snapped the ball 30-something, 35, 36 plays the first half. We just made some mistakes and things. And it happens against an athletic football team like them. So we're just trying to do better, play better.
Coach, we appreciate your time. Thanks.
All right, thank you.
What a gentleman he is. 69-year-old Jerry Moore. Tremendous success at Appalachian State. As he said, this is a new experience for Coach Moore, his staff and team in a long time since they've been on the short end of it like this. Outgained 323 to 113. As we mentioned, just the 5 first downs in the first half for Appalachian State.
He's absolutely right, because this is a great teaching moment for his kids. And frankly, it could set the tempo for the rest of the year. If they come out and get smoked again, then I would be concerned if I'm Coach Moore. If they come out and are competitive, then they got a chance, and he knows he can get into his conference and certainly be a contender.
Jason Viteris kicks off. for Appalachian State. Some confusion on the receiving end. Brendan Holiday with that blazing world-class speed out of bounds. Looked like from our vantage point he went out near the 34-yard line, chased out by Richard Long.
You know, just a small detail, but you saw an offensive lineman, a front guy up there back up, what screwed up the two deep guys. The rule is that an offensive lineman, you never back up to receive a kick. In fact, get away from it and let your guys either field it in the air or field it on the bounce, or if you're an offensive lineman, fair catch it so you don't get careered.
Careered?
Yeah, that's not good.
What does that mean?
That means you're done. You get careered. It's over. Congratulations. Thanks for coming.
Andrew Hatch, who started the game, back in to begin the second half. Managed the game effectively, showed the ability to run that we had heard about. Hands it off to Charles Scott, and a pick up where he left off in the first half. Out to the 38-yard line, Pierre Banks and Jacques Roman made the tackle. Guess the best thing you say about Andrew Hatch, thing that is very important to Les Miles and his staff, play mistake-free football.
Yeah, and again, Andrew Hatch has the ability to avoid trouble or be a factor right there with his feet. He's an adequate thrower, an adequate runner, but that's what LSU quarterbacks are, and he will grow and get better in both areas as the season progresses.
Ryan Miller, guilty of the early movement. He's a key backup who could play anywhere along that offensive line. Senior from Lake Charles, Louisiana. Andrew Hatch admitted when he came back from his Mormon mission, thought he was going back to Harvard. It was very difficult to make the decision not to return to Harvard. Very few people have the opportunity to go to one of the premier academic institutions in the world, in the greatest city in America. Hatch steps up and gets pulled down right near the line of scrimmage by Malcolm Bennett. But he's a competitor. The opportunity to play football here at the highest level was too good to pass up.
Yeah, and I certainly understand that, and I understand the Harvard issue also. But right there, one thing he's got to improve on is I think he's a little bit hesitant in making a tough throw. He had Bird open. He just had to throw him open, and that will come, again, the more reps he gets at game speed, the more confident he becomes in his arm and his receivers.
Hatch a little bit behind his intended target, Demetrius Byrd. Dominic McDuffie had the coverage. And a lackluster first possession here of the second half for LSU. They will punt.
And Byrd showing a little bit of frustration because Hatch had a shot to give Dominic a chance to run for the first down. And that's where the timing thing comes in, Sean, is game speed. Byrd might have been running a little bit faster than he does in practice, thus throwing the throw behind on a slant, which is not a good thing.
Brady Dalfrey will punt to B.J. Frazier. And that really is the key. You know, the coaches have liked what they've seen from these quarterbacks in workouts, but it's an entirely different thing at game speed. And Dalfrey, with a second punt of his career, shanks this one after the first one was good in the coffin corner. That's just a 14-yarder. Ron Francois made the tackle with help from Tyson Jackson. It's a loss of 1.
It makes it extra difficult with that defensive line. And everybody thinks the defensive line is defined by pass rushing and getting pressure on a quarterback. Well, these guys are solid run defenders. It makes them a double threat.
Tyson Jackson, preseason All-American. Edwards throws on the move. Good catch that time. The receivers didn't give him much help in the first half, but Coco Hillary did there for a gain inside the 43, a pickup of 7. Jai Eugene chased him out of bounds.
Good move by Scott Satterfield to start moving the pocket a little bit so Armani's not a sitting duck back there. Just move that line, moves the pocket, gives him space to throw.
Averaged 144 last year on the ground and 177 in the air. Way off those numbers today against this outstanding LSU defense. Last time Appalachian State was shut out was in this stadium in 2005 against LSU. Hillary couldn't come up with that throw from Edwards with Curtis Taylor nearby.
And Curtis Taylor comes to take you out in a clean way, but he's coming to take you out. And that's a veteran back there at 6'3", 220 pounds of physical presence that brings it when he comes to make contact, or collision, I should say.
This is a senior from Franklinton, Louisiana, from a big LSU family. He has 2 brothers and a sister at LSU. Neil Young on the punt. And it takes a good bounce for the Mountaineers. Little backspin down to the 13-yard line by Trey Hennessy. Of course, Les Miles thought that Ryan Perilou would be his quarterback this season. He would have been a senior. Perilou throughout his career at LSU in and out of trouble off the field and away from campus. So in the spring, Les Miles made the decision to dismiss Perilou from the team. He has since transferred to Jacksonville State in Alabama, made his debut for them Thursday night in a loss to Georgia Tech, threw for a couple of touchdowns as they lost to the Yellow Jackets 41-14.
It's always difficult for a coach to do, but Les, I think, made the right decision on what's best for this football team.
There's Charles Scott now to the 20-yard line. Perilou will be on ESPN's award-winning Outside the Lines tomorrow, 9:30 Eastern Time, with Bob Lee. And to his credit, he talks about how he had a number of chances. It really was the right decision, he believed. Les Miles let him go.
When you finally dismissed me, I realized I'm not invincible at all. And the suspensions, like with the suspensions, you know, I kind of always knew I was coming back. You know, I kind of always knew. But when he finally dismissed me and released me for good, that's when I really realized that, you know, maybe it's not LSU, maybe it's Ryan Perilou.
You think? I mean, you look at these kids and we see this, and I think it was a horrible trend around college football that all the players that get in trouble, and it just, I care about Ryan Perilou, and it just frustrates me, Sean, when guys get 1 and 2 and 3 opportunities and they're not learning their lesson. And it's a selfish decision because not only is Ryan Perilou counting on himself, but you got 84 other guys counting on Ryan Perilou.
At least he has the maturity now.
Yeah.
When it's too late to do anything about it, to realize that he was given a number of chances. And he is a talent. Hopefully he'll get his situation together. You know, a lot of it was relatively minor stuff, missing meetings, being late for meetings, being late for practices. It's not minor if you're a football guy, because you're supposed to be on time for everything. But, some off the field stuff as well, but they finally decided they'd had enough.
Well, let me preface this that I want Ryan to do well, and I hope he's learned his lesson. But when you do that and you're late for meetings, you're late for practice, it's a disrespect to your teammates. And if you're going to be the quarterback and leader, have the respect to show up on time, ready to go.
Hatch, a little trickeration. And Jared Mitchell could not get out of the backfield. They had him hemmed in from the beginning. Looked like he might escape, but couldn't get away from Leonard Love. That's, again, tomorrow morning, 9:30 Eastern Time. Much more on Ryan Perilou on Outside the Lines. Here's Rob Stone.
Sean, I had a chance to talk with Perilou on the phone last night, and he told me he was treated well by this LSU team, wishes him the best. He's kept in touch with his friends on the team, is going to watch today's game. He sees his time at Jacksonville State as an opportunity. He used that word a lot, an opportunity to show his true character, make this a positive situation. He does keep some LSU with him, though, on the field. A purple and gold armband he got his freshman year. He still wears, even while playing for Jacksonville State.
Hatch zips one. It is caught, but short of the first down. Demetrius Byrd made the catch. Senior from Miami, Florida. And they will punt again. 12 yards, not good enough to move the chains.
Yes, but productive for Les Miles right there to see Andrew Hatch throw a ball over 10 yards on target. And Demetrius Byrd did a nice job, and this is for future reference, of coming back to the football. A lot of times we see young receivers not working back to create separation from the man on their back covering them.
Brady Dalfrey
is deep.
Last punt was a shank. This one's a little better, but low and returnable. And it's B.J. Frazier on the return to the 40-yard line. 41-yard punt, 16-yard return. 8:42 to go, third quarter. LSU in command in the season opener. Well, it seems everyone loves the national champions. That includes Snoop Dogg, who showed up at a press conference this summer. Les Miles chance to show off some of his moves, if that's what you call that. I thought Snoop Dogg was a USC guy. Didn't I see him hanging around with the Trojans and Pete Carroll for a while as he jumped ship?
The front runner. That's all I can conclude from that. I got two conclusions. Snoop Dogg's a front runner and Les can't dance. He tries though. He gives great effort, like all coaches will.
He can sure coach.
Yes, he can.
34-6, 3 straight top 5 finishes in 3 years at LSU. Devin Moore, the ball carrier on first down, to head for 2. And I think now you get the sense he's really entrenched here. When he first got the job here, some people wondered who he was. He came from Oklahoma State, following Nick Saban, who had great success here, and always lingering in the background. The prospect, would Michigan come after him? He's a Michigan man, played there, coached there. He had said it was perhaps his dream job, but he shunned the advances, stayed and coached the national championship game, signed a long contract. It looks like this is a marriage that's heading for the long haul.
He passed the ultimate test when the alma mater comes a-calling. He says, I'm happy where I'm at. That's passing the test, and I believe me, LSU fans respect that. And now I think after he turned down Michigan, he's really an LSU Tiger and embraced by LSU fans even more than he was.
Barry Coleman might have a cramp after diving and nearly coming up with the interception. You wonder what might have been had the timing been different. I mean, they were getting ready to play the SEC championship game and then heading on to the national championship game, as it turned out. Were those things not still on the agenda? You wonder if perhaps he would have headed back to a place that he loves in Michigan. But he told us yesterday he and his family are very happy here, and they've had remarkable success. Saw the numbers back to 2003, and over the last 3 years, the only coach in the country with as many wins as Les Miles is 34 that he's piled up here at LSU is Pete Carroll, also at 34, with Snoop Dogg's apparently former favorite team, the USC Trojans.
I don't know. Only Les could answer that question, Sean, but I got to tell you, it had to be a gut-wrenching decision for him. Not because of his lack of love for LSU, but, I mean, it's a Michigan man, and that means something in Big Ten country. Bo Schembechler was his coach. He worked for Coach Schembechler. And it's hard to do, but that just, again, I think embraces him more to the LSU fan that he turned down his love for his new love.
He is enormously popular here now, as you might imagine. Flag down as Josh Johnson got tangled up with Chad Jones.
Chad Jones right here, if he has his head on the ball, he's dancing in the end zone right now. You got to play the ball, not the man. He had a great break on that football.
Pass interference, defense number 3. Ball will be spotted at the spot of the foul. Automatic first down.
Young sophomore, just catch that ball, buddy. You'll be celebrating down in the yellow.
Jones got a lot bigger and stronger, close to 220 pounds now. He's an outstanding baseball player, drafted by the Astros out of high school, played in 5 games last year for Paul Maneri's LSU baseball team, but elected to concentrate on spring football, get ready for this football season. The LSU Tiger baseball team, under a great coach in Paul Maneri, returned to the College World Series this year. Edwards throws, and it's dropped by Devin Moore in the flat.
They out there in Omaha with you this year?
They were. Very good team, LSU. There's great baseball tradition here. A lot more parity now in college baseball, so it's harder for those traditional powers to get to Omaha. We're building a beautiful new baseball stadium right behind Tiger Stadium.
Saw Pat Hill out there watching his Fresno State Bulldogs.
They wound up winning the college baseball championship. Edwards got it off. Boy, the receivers have been dreadful today. Coco Hillary couldn't come up with that one.
This is a nice pass right here by Armani Edwards. Again, I love his composure. That's something that he takes pride in. You'll see the rush bearing down on him. but watch his eyes are staying downfield. They're locked on Coco. He throws across his body, off his back foot, and taking a shot to the rib cage. As you mentioned, yes, if we're going to be honest, the receivers have let him down. That's the 6th drop that I have on my charts right now.
3rd down and 10. Here comes a blitz, and that one is caught, and Hillary slipped out. I don't know if he got the first down. Didn't seem to be aware of where he was relative to the down marker. Now he's trying to lobby the officials, and he did get a good spot.
Yes, he did. And just a lesson for the young receivers out there. When you know this 3rd down, you know the sticks. Don't try to make any moves. Go ahead and move those chains. Maybe you break a tackle and go the distance, but get the sure thing. Watch this. Catch it. Get upfield, baby. No, not backwards. Yeah, it's close enough.
.38-yard line, 1st down. Hillary with 6 catches for 64 yards. He's also had a couple of drops. Appalachian State on the move, trailing 31-0. And it's given to Hillary. He has nowhere to run, and he's dropped at the 44. Drake Nevis, backup defensive tackle. Marlon Favorite also there. They'd be starters on most teams in the country. They're backups here. Loss of 6. Here's Rob.
I know how impressed you guys have been with LSU's defensive line. We knew they were going to be strong coming in, and I think they knew it too. Yesterday in the meetings, they kind of hinted to us that they're looking for a nickname, right? Now, Sean, do you remember the 2 nicknames that were the finalists?
Yes, Purple Curtain and Freakazoids.
Freakazoids. Well, guess what? They voted last night, and we have a winner. It is the Purple Curtains. Tyson Jackson was a one-man voting booth. They gave him the 1 vote, and he said the winner is Purple Curtains.
Man wide open, right down the middle. Touchdown, Appalachian State. Robert Welton.
Robert Welton from the split backfield. Looks like a blown coverage by LSU. It's a good job of exposing that with Armani Edwards seeing the open receiver. To see it right here, playing a little bit of man-to-man. The safety gets suckered up right there, leaving the middle field widely exposed. Armani and Welton take advantage for 6+1.
On the kick by Jason Viteris, a sophomore from Seneca, South Carolina. Robert Welton, the touchdown. He's a sophomore out of Gray, Georgia. And Appalachian State is on the board with 6:06 to go in the 3rd.
You know what's another cool thing about summer?
Back in Baton Rouge. Appalachian State on the board after a 7-play, 60-yard drive, capped on a 44-yard touchdown pass. Armani Edwards to Robert Welton as part of that stable of running backs. There are 4 of them they think will split time. Devin Moore getting the bulk of the action. Viteris' kickoff down to Trenton Holiday. That world-class speed on display. It was the kicker Viteris who kicked them, pushed him toward the sideline. And they'll mark the ball out right at the 50-yard line. 33-yard run back by the diminutive Holiday.
Let's take a look where this breaks down. Right there you see Melton coming out, and he's going to run a takeoff route. Watch Derry Beckwith. I believe he has a man-to-man because the safety's man-to-man over here. That's why he vacates the middle of the field. You see they were communicating where they might have got confused a little bit. And if Derry's covering dirt and he looks at, oh no, that can't be my man running down the field, you have a blown coverage resulting in 6 points with Armani Edwards with a nice read and a nice throw to finish the deal.
Sluggish performance here in the 3rd quarter for LSU. They led 31-0 at the break. Hand off to Quinn Johnson, the fullback, who was an effective blocker on some of those Scott runs in the first half. Tony Robertson made the tackle. Mentioned the last time Appalachian was here, they were shut out in 2005. Jerry Moore's been here before. He was here in 1960 as a player for Baylor. He was a wide receiver. Came in to take on an LSU team that had won the national championship in 1958 under legendary Paul Dietzel. And Baylor came in here and upset LSU 7-3. Jerry remembers it vividly. Dixon the catch and a first down as he's hauled out of bounds by Pierre Banks. Matter of fact, when they came here in 2005, Jerry Moore said, first thing I did when we got off the bus for the walkthrough was walk right down the tunnel, walk right to that end zone where we scored. Paul Dietzel later became the color commentator on the Appalachian State radio games.
Yeah, it's amazing. The stadium has so much history, and I remember in 1987, Ohio State came down here and we tied LSU 13-13, where they blocked the field goal at the end of the game. But what an atmosphere this place is, and it is like that. Where I remember that game my whole life, like Coach Moore.
Keelan Williams with a flag down at the line of scrimmage. Pierre Banks made the tackle. Williams is their leading returning rusher. Many thought he'd be the featured back, but it was Scott who emerged from the preseason derby. There is a flag down.
Offside. 18 of the defense. A penalty's declined. Play results in a first down.
And a 15-yard gain.
Offsides is declined.
Just tuning in, this game was originally scheduled to kick off at 4 o'clock local time, Central Time, but it was moved yesterday 6 hours up to 10:06 because of the preparations being made for the possible arrival of Hurricane Gustav, which is strengthening as it heads toward the Gulf of Mexico up to a Category 3 hurricane as of this morning. Hatch throws, it's batted down by DJ Smith. Almost 3 years to the day after Katrina left so much devastation that is still evident in many parts of this region. Preparations well underway much earlier this week throughout Louisiana and the Gulf for the possibility of Gustav's arrival. Now forecast to get here late Monday night, perhaps early Tuesday morning. We're not quite sure yet, but projected path has it hitting somewhere along the Louisiana coast. Here's Keelan Williams again. And Chris, we talked to some state troopers on our way in here this morning. They do such a great job here locally and throughout the state, and they're very busy now getting ready for the possible evacuations, which may become mandatory if Gustav does stay on the projected path. And they predicted the crowd would probably be down by about 20,000 today with the morning start, and Gustav lingering, people with preparations to make, and we can see it in the crowd now. It wasn't a sellout at the beginning in terms of everybody being here, and it's about half empty now.
Well, and I think that's understandable, but I'll tell you, the LSU kids have done a great job along with Coach Miles in focusing. And, you know, we talk about, obviously there's a lot of pressure being a head football coach at a school like LSU. But, you know, it's interesting that most coaches don't have to have a meeting tomorrow afternoon to prepare for hurricane preparations, and that's exactly what that man will be doing tomorrow to make sure that his players and the players' families, everybody's taken care of. That's a lot of extra work for him, but something I'm sure he's looking forward to doing and handling to take the pressure off his young men.
Keelan Williams went out of bounds short of the first down, so a field goal try for Josh Jasper, and he's done very well filling in for Colt David, who's sidelined with turf toe. First points of the second half for Les Miles and the Tigers on a 33-yard field goal. It's 34-7. Les Miles said they really hadn't done much in the way of hurricane preparation because they've been busy getting ready for this game and changing their schedule to accommodate the early kickoff. He said they'll meet tomorrow, decide how they want to handle the possibility of canceling practices, perhaps even their next game if need be. They're scheduled to play Troy here next weekend. They've been through this before. Right at the beginning of his first season as head coach, they dealt with Katrina and its horrible destruction and all of the aftermath. Rob has more on that.
Well, Coach Miles told us yesterday that they're going to have a staff meeting tomorrow to kind of address down the road how they're going to progress, but things have already moved on since we had that meeting with them. They're still going to have that meeting on Sunday, but they're talking about having a practice tomorrow, which is usually an off day, and a practice Monday because they're anticipating landfall on Tuesday, meaning Tuesday is going to be completely wiped out and worthless for them as far as football is concerned. They're also looking at potentially relocating. Shreveport, Louisiana is a city that has come up, and then they have to look at where are they going to be able to play their game next Saturday, depending on everything. But, you know, right next door, just on the back side of this end zone right here is the Pete Maravich Assembly Center. In essence, it becomes a triage center during a natural disaster, and it's fairly insensitive. And when I say fairly, I mean very insensitive to have a football game just a couple hundred feet away from a triage center.
Devin Radford returns the kickoff. There is the basketball arena, which, as we heard earlier from the Chancellor, is already being used to house people with special needs who are being evacuated from the southern parts of the state. So many folks impacted south of here by Katrina came to Baton Rouge to relocate or receive medical attention. Devin Moore, the running back, on first down for Appalachian State from the 40-yard line. Of course, in 05, they moved what would have been a home game against Arizona State from here to Tempe. Les Miles' first game as coach. Patrick Peterson came up from the corner, and that's a name LSU fans have heard a lot about in this preseason. He is a true freshman. He's from Pompano Beach, Florida. He was the USA Today High School Defensive Player of the Year nationally last year. And he's going to see a lot of playing time this year. Tremendous talent.
Absolutely, and they'll play a lot of nickel and dime, and Patrick Peterson is going to eventually work his way in. And I saw a glimpse of that talent as he broke on the ball and almost beat the ball at the point of contact.
Edwards, another quick throw. Coco Hillary, a short game before he's driven back by Danny McCray. 3-yard pickup. Of course, one of the changes for LSU defensively this year, new coordinators. Bo Pelini had been the coordinator of this defense the last few years under Les Miles. He left to become their head coach at Nebraska. So 2 members of the staff were promoted. The co-defensive coordinator, Doug Mallory, who coaches the defensive backs, and Bradley Dale Pivoto, the linebacker coach. Les Miles said they've both been involved in game planning for years. They work well together. They will share the responsibilities. Mallory in the box, Pivoto on the field. Edwards throws into traffic, and it is incomplete. Intended for Hillary and almost intercepted by Chad Jones.
Well, one of the transitions, why that transition is easy, is because those guys speak the language like the players. And you'll see a good job of Hillary, and got away with one with Jones coming up and punching him in the back. And Coco has a little right to complain, but also the ball hit him in the hands again, and there's a drop.
Neil Young hangs one up. It's Jones who's back deep, and he bobbles it, but makes the fair catch at the 12, a 44-yard punt. A minute and a half to go in the third quarter. ESPN Kickoff Week continues. It's presented by Gillette on ABC tonight. Former LSU coach Nick Saban leads Alabama into Atlanta to take on Clemson in a neutral site game. Some of you will see Michigan State and Cal, the Chick-fil-A college kickoff game, part of ESPN Kickoff Week. Presented by Gillette, ABC tonight, 8 Eastern Time. Check the local listings to see which game you're going to get in your area. Jarrett Lee comes back out to be the quarterback. He appeared in the first half as the backup to Andrew Hatch. But that is a competition that is ongoing. Friendly competition. They're good friends. Jarrett told us yesterday he and Andrew Hatch play golf together. He said, I'm longer off the tee box, but Andrew has a better short game.
I think Andrew disputed that claim that Jarrett was longer off the tee box. The football players, a little testosterone. Oh, I can outdrive you. I'll outdrive you. That's all they care about. They don't care about the short game.
We're still talking about your performance in that nationwide event Pro-Am with your like 25 handicap and you made 17 pars. Lee on the inside handoff to Richard Murphy. They all run hard out of that LSU backfield. He goes out to the 13-yard line. 7 yards on the run for Richard Murphy.
You know, I think John Wiley, the defensive coordinator, in all our years of doing this, I've never heard a defensive coach say that an offense plays hard. That statement's usually reserved just for defenses. I think that's the greatest compliment an offense can get. Boy, they really play hard. And that's what we see here. From the offensive line to the backs, to the receivers, whoever, they get after it.
And these are two teams that really play the game right. There's an interception thrown right into the lap of Jacques Roman. Well, when you're competing to be the starter, that's the kind of thing that won't get you the #1 spot. Big lead, just be smart with the football, and he threw it right into the lap of the junior from Kingsland, Georgia.
And watch Jarrett's head right there. It never leaves where he's going to throw the ball. His eyes stay on a receiver, stay on a receiver, stay on a receiver. Jacques Roman does a good job of reading those eyes. Great depth in his drop, and shows nice hands for a rapping linebacker.
12-yard return. Now Appalachian in great shape at the LSU 11-yard line. Roman, 22 years old, a junior. Devin Moore, the back, to the right of Armani Edwards, who faked the handoff and then takes off. And he's down at the 7-yard line. Danny McCray made the tackle. We visited with Jacques Roman yesterday. Coming out of high school, he was very highly recruited. In South Georgia, almost on the Florida border. He committed to go to Auburn, but he's always been a big Miami Hurricane fan. They came close to signing day, said they were going to make him an offer. So he decided to go to Miami. Then that offer was withdrawn. He had no place to go. Spent a year out of football moving furniture. That renewed his desire to go to college and play college football. Wound up at Appalachian State. And then part of a couple of national championship teams. Edwards, the back of the end zone, incomplete, looking for Coco Hillary. Chris Hawkins had the coverage. We're right next to the LSU coaches booth. They're all upset right now in that booth. They don't like the way their team is playing here in the second half. A lot of screaming and yelling going on next door.
They got it right to. They're high standards, and they've come out flat. And I think Jerry Moore's learning something about his football team because of the kids never being in this situation, being down 31-0 at halftime. They've come out and responded well, on both sides of the ball.
Timeout call with 7 seconds left in the third quarter. LSU leading 34-7. They led 31-0 at the half. Time to take a look now at the ESPNU All-State Standings Review. Wes Miles Tigers 7th in the AP Top 10. We were talking about that yesterday. We don't hear a lot of talk about them as a national championship contender right now. He said, hey, last year at the beginning of the year, we weren't at the top of most people's lists either. It took an impressive win here against Virginia Tech to elevate them into the conversation. But I think most of us agree, and follow college football closely, Chris. I mean, this is wide open. Georgia's #1, but any of those teams on the list, perhaps others. I mean, who would have expected Missouri and Kansas, among others, to come out of the woodwork last year?
And that's the beauty of college football. I mean, Georgia has a brutal schedule. LSU obviously has nice 3 games before then they get in the SEC. The reason why I think LSU has a chance, Sean, is the offensive and defensive lines. Arguably the best offensive line in the country. No question the best defensive line in the country.
And plenty of skill position talent as well, as we've seen today. 3rd down and 6 from the 7. They could get a first down just shy of the 1. Edwards under duress again, and it's incomplete. Looking for Brian Quick. What will Coach Moore do? He'll have the end of the quarter break to think about it. With 4th down upcoming, it's the end of the 3rd quarter. Appalachian actually outscored LSU 7-3 in the 3rd quarter of play. Back in steamy Baton Rouge and on to the 4th quarter with LSU leading Appalachian State 34-7. A field goal try for Jason Viteris, the first of his career. And it is good from 24 yards out for the sophomore from Seneca, South Carolina, who backed up one of the great kickers in the history of their program, Julian Roush, last year, who went to camp with the Pittsburgh Steelers but was cut. So it is 34-10, and once again we check in with Rob Stone.
Well, Sean, Coach Miles really played this whole quarterback situation close to the vest throughout the summer. You know, practices were closed. Stats from scrimmages for individuals were not released. They were cumulative stats by position. Depth charts gave no hint. And I asked Coach Miles last night, you know, why not name the starting quarterback? And he reflected back on a situation a couple years ago when he said, you know, there really was a no-brainer situation as who my starting quarterback was. And I held off on naming him. Turns out he got injured. The number 2 quarterback became the number 1, stepped in, had all the confidence, had all the joy of being the number 1 quarterback, and he never had to have that sting, that stigma of being the backup, being the number 2. So he said, there's no reason to ever premature name your starting quarterback unless, I don't know, unless you have Peyton Manning on your sideline or something, I guess.
Well, I think it's good points, but you know, when you're watching practice, the kids eventually figure out who's going to be the starting quarterback. The coaches know who's going to be the starting quarterback. How they know? Well, who's getting most of the reps?
Right.
Especially the closer you get to the game, you've got to make sure, and you have an obligation as a coaching staff to get that kid the majority of the reps so he can be ready to go.
Terrace kicks off. A short little pop-up toward the far sideline, caught at the 32-yard line. Calvin Shepard, a big return to the Appalachian 46. 23 yards on the return of that short kickoff by Shepard, who's a linebacker out of Stone Mountain, Georgia, in his sophomore year at LSU.
Yeah, he's a teammate, a high school teammate of Riley, the other first-time starting linebacker, and those guys came together at LSU, and both of them anxious to prove that they can live up to the standards of LSU linebackers. Right there, he lived up to the standard of a kick returner at LSU. Good job. Athletic linebacker. I wouldn't know what that was about.
Oh, this new modesty is so insincere. Well, Jared Lee threw an interception that led to a field goal, so here's Andrew Hatch back under center. With the eye behind him, Keelan Williams takes the pitch. Junior from Lafayette, Louisiana. Chopped down by Leonard Love. Looked like he was the heir apparent, as we said earlier, to Jacob Hester. Some speculation that a couple of fumbles, one in practice, one in the spring game, might have gotten him in the quote-unquote doghouse. Les Miles said that is not true, although they do put a huge premium on ball security. They lost only 3 fumbles as a team all of last year.
Well, that's an incredible stat right there. And Keelan Williams just lost out to Scott, and if you watch the first half, you see why. But again, the depth that they have, one guy can get a hot hand.
Yeah, chariot out deep, and it is broken up. Intended for Demetrius Byrd, and well defended by Cortez Gilbert, the junior out of Goldsboro, North Carolina.
Well, one question that's not going to be unanswered, or that won't be answered today, is whether Andrew Hatch is going to solidify this job, because he's underthrown a couple balls. You got 5'10" against 6'3". Throw that ball high and long and throw it to the back pylon and let your tall receiver win the jump ball. There's a couple passes that he's underthrown today that are big play opportunities. He's just not getting it there.
Third down and 5, a minute into the fourth quarter. Hatch got walloped as he threw it, incomplete. The receiver went down, no flags. Looking for Brandon LaFell was Hatch.
It's a good job by Andrew of buying time with his feet. I'll tell you, a little disappointing. His receivers did not continue their work down the field, avoiding a rush, forcing Andrew to try to force one in there.
I thought he was going to get walloped. He actually kind of just took a grazing blow from Smith, who might have been charitable toward him.
Maybe trying to avoid roughing the passer. I wouldn't be surprised, Sean, if we see Jordan Jefferson, a true freshman. He's
their third quarterback, at least at the start of the year, but he's a terrific talent. Another concern might be the punting, although that was another attempt at the coffin corner.
Got the corner part of it right.
Yeah.
Forgot the coffin.
15-yard punt. The good news is that's not his shortest one of the day. Sean McDonough, Chris Spiel, and Rob Stone. Our producer Josh Hoffman, director Mike Roig, our outstanding ESPN technical crew. Delighted to have you with us. LSU and Appalachian State in the fourth quarter in this head-to-head matchup. Defending national champions. Robert Welton, the ball carrier on first down, ahead for a couple before Perry Riley got him on the ground. Appalachian State is the preseason #1 again among FCS schools, favored to win their national championship for the 4th year in a row. The equivalent perhaps of that Ohio State USC matchup that we're all looking forward to at the top level of college football could be the matchup coming up between Appalachian and James Madison. In some polls, James Madison is in the top 5 in the FCS rankings, and they're going to meet in Harrisonburg at JMU on September 20th. So this is a good prep opportunity for Appalachian today. Edwards was incomplete. That's what Jerry Moore said. So these are not money games for the smaller schools, although they are getting a nice paycheck of about $550,000 for the trip here. Said it's an opportunity game. Go play against the best, play on national TV, and to get better for the important part of your schedule, which is the conference, and an eye toward their FCS playoffs.
And you know that James Madison is going to look for some revenge in that game after Appalachian State knocked them out in the playoffs last year. Coach Moore made a great point about fall camp and how playing LSU with that in the opener, or playing in Michigan in the opener, what that does for them, it gets our kids focused. They rarely have a bad practice in fall camp because the kids know what's at stake when they come to a venue like Tiger Stadium or up to the Big House in Ann Arbor, that they want to go up and play their best, so their practices are very focused and very crisp, which is an advantage also to prepare them for their conference schedule.
Danny McCray injured and down on the field for LSU. Right ankle injury or foot, it would appear.
That's a guy they can't afford to lose, Sean. He's their nickel back. Essentially, he's an extra linebacker when they play 3 and 4 wides, or they go to that nickel package that Doug Mallory likes to employ into his defense. Remember back in 1987, we played a game down here against LSU at the coin toss. Myself and a captain for LSU got in a fight, and this captain's name was Eric Andelset, right there, number 76. Hated the guy, but I had to say, after the game, he was the toughest guy I ever played in. Up at minicamp in Detroit, we get on the bus. The guy sits next to me. I said, "Oh, please don't sit next to me." He sits next to me. We end up being best friends. And tragically, in 1992, Eric was killed by a drunken truck driver while he's weed whacking his lawn, and miss him dearly, but he was a great friend and represented LSU proud. There's his nephew, Chase Clement, who's going to be a great player, defensive end, carrying on the tradition, and I exchanged text phone numbers with him, so I'll make sure he makes good choices while he's in school.
Now timeout called by LSU. Such a great football tradition here, such great history. But these are the glory days right now. I mean, we talked about the last 3 years, 34 wins, the best 3-year stretch in the history of the school. And with all the talent in this state, the great atmosphere and facilities here, you get the feeling they've got it rolling, and it's going to be rolling for a while.
Yeah, and that one thing that helps them keep it rolling for a while is the talent that they have in this state. And Les Miles, what you do, you build a fence around the state of Louisiana, and there's such passion for LSU, not only amongst the fan bases around Baton Rouge, but I think around the whole state. And the other luxury he has is there's no other big school that LSU has to compete with in state. And so certainly I guess the loyalty that the kids grow up feeling for LSU, except maybe Derry Beckwith, who grew up a Florida fan,
Yes.
I believe. Yeah.
Last non-conference loss for LSU was Nick Saban's last game. That stunning last-second loss to Iowa in the Capital One Bowl. They're going to keep that perfect non-conference record under Les Miles intact today against Appalachian State. Out of the timeout, the Mountaineers 3rd and 7 from their own 28. Edwards, this has been the story of the day. He's had nowhere to go. Got away from Harry Coleman. Back to about the line of scrimmage, and that's it. And they will punt.
It was a good decision by Armani Edwards to run out of bounds. I mean, he's taking his shots today, and that's one thing that he has to learn to do a little bit better. And I almost hate saying this, but he's so important to the success of that football team that he's got to avoid some hits. And you hate to tell him that, but not all of them, but some of them he's got to be smart.
Perhaps even time to take him out of this game. I mean, I know they're only down by 24, but if you've watched all day, I mean, they have no chance of making up this deficit.
I think a little bit more. They might be a little bit hesitant because they have a true freshman from Tampa in DeAndre Presley that backs him up. I don't know if you want to put him in there right now.
Put him in all year, too.
Yeah.
Should something happen to Armani Edwards today. Young's punt is downed by Sean Ryder at the 47-yard line, a 26-yard boot.
What would you do if I sang?
Well, with the heat of the day, Hurricane Gustav perhaps heading in this direction. And with this score, 34-10, as you can see, Tiger Stadium has emptied out. It is sweltering now in the stands, temperature up to 92. And with high humidity, only the diehards are still here. And unfortunately, a lot of these people have to head home to wonder what their future is going to be in the next few days. Will they have to evacuate as they prepare for another hurricane, Hurricane Gustav?
It's funny, I'm amazed and admire the composure of the people of Baton Rouge and how they handle this situation. I'm in my room watching the Weather Channel as much as I can.
In between the episodes of Barney, apparently, from what we
on the left side
learned earlier. Richard Murphy, the ball carrier. Pierre Banks made the tackle. Well, they moved the kickoff up 6 hours. I think some of these folks would have been in the parking lot all night anyway.
It's fired up.
Yeah, this was not staged at all for the campus. We just happened to be there when he came out at 5:02, like Punxsutawney Phil. Told our diligent camera crew waited more than 4 hours for that young man to come out of the tent. Murphy spins out to the 45-yard line of Appalachian State. Gordy Witt made the tackle. Nearing 11 minutes remaining. LSU starts the schedule with this game, then Troy and North Texas, all three of them here. But when they go on the road, it'll be for a big test at Auburn, another team that's sort of on the fringe of the national championship talk right now.
To see how they adjust to former Troy offensive coordinator Tony Franklin putting a spread offense in down at Auburn. So actually LSU will have two looks at that type of offense as they play Troy and also when they move to play Auburn under Tony Franklin.
Murphy again powers to the 39 for a first down. 6-yard gain. Jacques Roman made the tackle.
Troy has a nice offseason or out of conference schedule out of the Sun Belt. Going to LSU. And after that, you get a nice little challenge going up to Columbus, Ohio and playing Ohio State. Larry Blakeney, true to his word, play anywhere, anyone, anytime.
Maybe the truck can help me because I've lost track of the number of Ohio State references today. Josh Hoffman tells us it's 433 and counting right now. Here's Brandon LaFell heading for the end zone. Touchdown. He got a nice block from his buddy Demetrius Byrd along the way. Who's the first there to congratulate him.
Absolutely, Sean, and the unselfishness of this LSU football team on display with Demetrius Byrd with a cut block, taking the legs out of the Appalachian State defender, and a confidence builder for Jared Lee. Watch Demetrius Byrd come into your picture. Nice job on Cortez Gilbert, knocks him down, and pure speed and talent takes over into the purple.
Josh Jasper adds the extra point. He's been perfect as Colt David stand-in today. There was a 39-yard touchdown pass. After a post-checkered flag dust-up, I know Chris loves that stuff. Last weekend in Bristol, Kyle Busch and Carl Edwards renewed their rivalry out west, while Casey Kane, Clint Boyer, Denny Hamlin, look to stay on the right side of the chase bubble. The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series Pepsi 500 at California. It's a long title on ESPN Sunday. That's tomorrow, August 31st. It begins with NASCAR Countdown at 7 Eastern Time. For more information, log on to ESPN.com. Those guys are supposedly buddies, but you're hearing some of the sound bites this week. I don't know, maybe they're just claiming they're friends.
I don't know. I'm just
He
glad
called Carl Edwards Mr. Ed. That's a compliment.
He's got to keep Danica Patrick out there. She'll go in there and whoop both their rear ends.
She's not afraid to get in the face of her fellow competitors.
Yeah, tough.
Here's Jasper to kick off. With 10 minutes to go, it's 41-10 LSU. On their way to their 12th straight win on the ESPN family of networks. Devin Radford, the Virginia Tech transfer, stacked up at the 20. Of course, this is the time of year when you get differing opinion in the polls. A lot of people think they shouldn't even bother with polls until a few weeks at least into the season. But like everybody else, we have our opinions. Only because I didn't want you to rough me up, I'm going with Ohio State. I thought Oklahoma was the best team I saw in person last year, and I thought they badly underachieved. So maybe this year, Florida, West Virginia, and Clemson. My top 5.
You're reaching a little bit, but man, we'll preface by saying all those are interchangeable. I think with the strength of college football, the parity in college football, who knows what can happen. But I think Ohio State with 8 returning starters, I think an argument for LSU after we witnessed today.
Yep.
USC, of course, Florida. Urban Meyer's going to have one of his best teams. Returning Heisman Trophy winner. It's going to be a great year for college football.
Coco Hillary, the catch, or the pass from Armani Edwards. See, I'm projecting where I think they're going to be at the end of the year. You know, you're just going with all the chalk right now, and I agree with you. After this LSU performance, I'd be inclined perhaps to move them up into that top 5. But you know, sooner or later, Clemson's going to put it together. If they don't, as Tommy Bowden has even acknowledged, they might have a new coach.
Well, you know, and Clemson over the years, certainly not a lack of talent, but they can't get out of their own way sometimes. And if they can just get over that little hump, they can do some special things.
Edwards dragged down behind the line of scrimmage. Lazarius Livingston. In West Virginia, I just like their team. You know, some people will say they're picked to win the Big East, but some people like South Florida even more in the Big East. I think Bill Stewart is the right man at the right time.
I do, yeah, I really do. And I think very Armani Edwards-like or very Patrick White-like. I mean, I look for Pat White to really use his arm a lot more this year under Bill Stewart. And Pat White, in my opinion, throws the ball than a lot of people give him credit for.
No, so just can't get any running room today. Perry Riley stacked him up. Edwards with 10 carries for 15 yards today.
Yeah, and obviously LSU's speed has neutralized him on the ground, but those passing stats I think are a little deceiving. And you and I both noted that he's been victimized by drops from his wide receivers, but I think an impressive performance by Armani.
Well, there'd been talk before the year began about him emerging as a Heisman Trophy candidate. I think if that was going to get any traction, he really needed to have a big performance today on national TV against an opponent of this caliber, because as Jerry Moore says, you know, people realize he plays at a lower level of college football, so even if he puts up big numbers, people might dismiss it. And here was his chance to do it against the big boys today, and he hasn't been able to get it done. He hasn't had much help. Jai Eugene chased him out after an 8-yard gain, but it got to the point where Jerry Moore and some of the athletic administration folks at Appalachian State in Boone, North Carolina, did have a meeting to talk about how they were going to handle the situation should it arise with Armani emerging as a Heisman candidate.
I think it's smart, and I think he's, I mean, there's no question what I think of him as a football. I think he's a great football player and tremendous talent, but it just hurts him for the Heisman that he plays in the FCS as opposed to the FBS. In order for him, as you said, to get that Heisman talk, he had to really light it up. Not necessarily beat LSU, but put some amazing numbers up.
Chad Jones didn't want to go down. Finally, Brandon Simpkins got him on the ground. 45-yard punt by Neil Young.
Portillo.
Back in Baton Rouge for the final 7:24. LSU in command in this head-to-head matchup of the teams that won the national championship at their respective levels last year. This is an August 30th game. Third time in school history LSU has opened on this date. The last two times they did, they won the national championship that season. 03 and 07. Here's Stephen Ridley, the fourth member of that tailback stable to get a carry today. Jason Jones, a true freshman backup defensive end out of Charlotte, made the tackle. Andrew Hatch, the quarterback.
Another thing that LSU is getting their second offensive line experience. This is the first series they've been in, and certainly valuable playing time and a reward for the big fellas.
Played the pistol again. And Hatch down just shy of the 30-yard line. Let's put the spotlight on today's Levi's 501 original. And it's Charles Scott who got them off and running from their first snap. Look at 54 yards, 48-yard touchdown run on the very next play. We had 144 yards in the first half. Made way for the backups here in the second half with a career high 160 yards rushing today for the junior.
Charles Scott, a powerful runner, that kind of size, running behind that kind of size, meaning the offensive lineman. That's a potent combination right there.
Ridley running right. Flag down. He's down to the 32. Credit to Anthony Williams with the stop. Junior out of Concord, North Carolina. The flag's against LSU. Matt Austin is the referee.
Holding, offense 83, 10-yard penalty for the spot of the foul. Speed second up.
Mitch Joseph, the backup tight end, guilty of the hold.
Familiar Tiger Bait chant, which is ongoing to the opponents that enter.
Well, unfamiliar to see so few people.
Yeah.
In this stadium at this time. Very hot day, the early kickoff, and Hurricane Gustav making its way into the Gulf of Mexico. It has already been upgraded now twice today. Very early this morning when we arose, it was a Category 2 hurricane, upgraded to Category 3 this morning, and they tell us just recently upgraded to Category 4 with winds of 145 miles per hour, moving north and projected to make landfall. Still in a pretty wide projected path. They'll narrow it down as it gets closer, but Louisiana is right in the middle of that cone we've all been looking at, the projected landfall target that we've all been seeing all week.
Yeah, I've taken a little bit of comfort that they're more prepared, obviously, for this one as opposed to Katrina.
First sack of the day for Appalachian State comes from Jabari Fletcher, sophomore from Atlanta. The levees have been reinforced. Those might be tested in New Orleans. The evacuation plans are going to be put into effect earlier if need be. And as we said, some people are already evacuating. So there was talk yesterday about changing the football game. A lot of people said, well, wait a minute, you know, the hurricane isn't supposed to get here if it comes at all till Monday night or Tuesday. But as they've learned through their unfortunate experience here, it is much better to be well prepared, well in advance.
Absolutely. Communication has been a key, just like in football and life. Good communication.
Frazier makes the fair catch. It's Josh Jasper who punted that one, so he's had an unexpectedly busy day. Filling in for the kicker, Colt David. He's handled the placements, and now with the struggles of Dalfrey to punt today, they took a look at Jasper. And he kicked it 45 yards with no return.
And that's what you get your opportunity when the punter hits a 14-yarder and a 15-yarder.
It might be the end of the day for Armani Edwards. They don't want him to endure any more punishment, and they will give the true freshman out of Tampa, DeAndre Presley, some snaps. 5'11", 170 pounds. Talents that would seem to suit their spread option attack. He is impressive on his first play from scrimmage as a collegiate. Runs to the 48 of LSU, 17 yards. And really the emergence of this program as a FCS power coincides with when they changed to this offense. They were a power I team under a traditional head coach in Jerry Moore, who coached at SMU under Hayden Fry and at Nebraska with Tom Osborne. But they decided as a staff to go to the spread, and they've had unparalleled success relative to the history of their program in these last few years.
Well, there's an abundance of talent at wide receiver and quarterback across this country. So many high schools are running the spread offense, so you can go find a multi-talented quarterback to be able to run the ball and pass the ball. And Scott Satterfield there was a quarterback at Appalachian State.
He was their all-time quarterback rusher until Armani Edwards broke his records. Great stability on Jerry Moore's staff. He's in his 20th year. Satterfield has coached for 10. They don't have an offensive coordinator, but Satterfield calls the plays. Presley, welcome to college football, but he dumped it off nicely. Devin Radford out of the backfield, showing his much talked about speed. He went down to the 13-yard line, a 32-yard gain for Appalachian. Phelan Jones made the tackle for LSU, a backup defensive back.
Well, Presley's going to take the hit, but holds his composure. And one thing LSU will work on in practice is blitz pickup, meaning man-to-man coverage right there. You have Shepard and Taylor coming off. One of them has to peel off on a running back to get their assignments. Both guys are going for the sack, and Presley just dumps it to the uncovered player.
Well, a new quarterback. It looked like Presley was favoring his left arm as he went off. So Hunter Stewart is the quarterback and has trouble with a high snap. Does well to field it and go down back at the 26.
Well, Jacob Cotrere injured Presley when he ran the first ball. When he tackled him, Presley fell on his left shoulder. I saw him get up, and I think that's one of those deals where he might have separated his shoulder a little bit because it was bothering him. Welcome to college football, as you said, Sean. It's a different deal as far as the hitting level goes.
Now it's the junior from Sanford, North Carolina, Stewart, who's been in the game as the holder on placements, and they are going to look at the left shoulder or collarbone of DeAndre Presley. Down to 1:25 to go in the season opener. Disappointing day for Armani Edwards at Appalachian State, but their focus is on trying to defend their national championship. Raheem Olem with the sack.
That's a speed off the corner. Really got no shot. Watch his get off. The most important thing for a defensive lineman is get off. And right there, he just swats his hands down and is able to turn that corner and celebrate with his teammates, adding to the depth of the potent defensive line of the Tigers.
Final 45 seconds now of this season opener. These two teams have combined to win 5 of the last 10 national championships at their level. Brian Quick, the intended receiver. Stewart just threw it up for grabs. Patrick Peterson there to knock it down.
Right there's going to be an impact player by the time it's all said and done. I mean, it's difficult to find 6'1" corners that can run and have burst, and Patrick Peterson, highly talented coming out of high school, is going to be a major contributor.
This will be the 6th straight season opening win for LSU. And they will have won 12 of their last 13 season openers. Their only loss during that stretch was at Virginia Tech in 2002. Very solid performance against a very good Appalachian team that just couldn't get anything going today. And Stewart might wish he was still the holder.
Get offsides.
It's been an ugly sequence, not really all of it his fault.
Yeah, you're going to get offsides on Ricky Jean-Francois right there, who's known.
Defense. 5-yard penalty. Repeat 4th down.
he's known for his get off right there. Tried to jump the count a little bit. It's been a little quiet today, big fella. The freak, as they call him.
Still fourth down.
Yeah, he sat out almost all of last year for an academic suspension, but returned to play in the SEC championship game against Tennessee. He was terrific in that, and then he was the defensive MVP of the title game, sorry Chris, against Ohio State. He had 6.5 tackles, blocked a field goal. There's a field goal try for Viteris, and it is good. So he's had a nice debut as the starting kicker with a couple of field goals. 44-yarder for the sophomore. 41-13 the score with 21 seconds to go.
Coach Moore has to be pleased with how his guys came out and responded in the second half, especially on the defense.
In celebration of our 100th anniversary.
Joey Crapel. We'll check that. Will Blackwell on the return. Number 60, not number 50. So the final seconds here, and it'll be Andrew Hatch to take the snap.
Overall, you got to be pleased if you're LSU. Obviously, I do think the quarterbacks did okay and room for improvement. But again, their audition continues to lead them into the SEC conference games and yet to be determined.
And we took care of business on the field, and certainly, Chris, our thoughts and prayers will be with the great folks in this state and this part of the country, and what might be coming for them in the days ahead. Les Miles now 35-6 as head coach at LSU. Final score, the Tigers 41, Appalachian State 13. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Now for Chris Spielman, Rob Stone, the rest of our ESPN HD crew, Sean McDonough saying so long from Baton Rouge, Louisiana.